You're live.
How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? How you been these past couple days? Mark's been fishing. He's back. So we're back. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com and broadcasting live once again on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch.tv channels. What time did you get back?
Last night about 9 o'clock.
Oh, it's better than I thought it was going to be.
Better than I thought it was going to be, too.
So 2.5 days of fishing.
Yes.
That must have been fun.
It was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Stayed at a great place. Enjoyed a cocktail or 17.
Oh, you had a
Killed the mutton snapper and killed the mahi. It was a nice trip. A lot of fish.
Did you say before the show you've got 30 pounds of fish?
I have 30 pounds of fillets in a cooler that I've got a bag this morning. That's my cut. That's from the 2.5 days. So we probably had 120 pounds of fillets in the first 2.5 days, and they're there till Sunday.
Nice. Yeah. That'll go a long way.
Captain Cody gets it done.
All right. Good time had by all.
I will say, interesting. I didn't know until I went down there. The entire Keys, face coverings everywhere. Cannot walk into a building without a face covering, including every restaurant.
Well, we said it was a week or so ago. We had it, we talked about it briefly, is that they passed a local ordinance, if you will, in which you have to wear a face mask till June of next year.
Well, you said that was Key West. I did not realize that was the entire Keys, because when you told me, you said Key West, but the entire Keys, everywhere you go. And there's plenty to talk about sports-wise, but it's not that big of a deal, folks. You put it on, they take it to your table, you sit down, you take it off, you eat dinner. It's just not that big of a deal.
They're back on again.
Right.
But, well, that's for another
day, another show, another station.
Nope. Oh, look at the time. 479-5551, 479-5551, Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing. Text and talk line. A lot went on, though, while you were fishing.
What happened?
Well, a lot. A lot. Pick a sport, Mark. I mean, honestly.
Well, I'm sure we should probably start. I looked at a few of the tweets we got, a few of the messages we got, and people want us to talk about Bubba Wallace and NASCAR in the noose that wasn't. I don't know. I mean, a bunch of different ways I guess we could approach this, but to me, the fact of the matter is that anybody that's coming down hard on Bubba Watson, and I know he didn't have a great look on one of the interviews with Don Lemon. Bubba Wallace. He didn't report the news. It was done by his teammate. He didn't come out and tell everybody about the news. That was done by NASCAR. So the media is getting a lot of heat. Wallace is getting a lot of heat. And NASCAR is the one that said there was a noose. All the media did was report on a statement that that NASCAR put out. So I'm trying to figure out why there's a lot of blame being thrown around to me at people that don't deserve blame.
Well, I'll say this. I actually think that NASCAR deserves a little bit of blame. I thought that NASCAR going back. Now, first off, if you want to go forward, how many people who sent in those texts and tweets late Tuesday and early on Wednesday, does anybody want to amend those texts or tweets after the picture that NASCAR released yesterday afternoon? Does that cause you to change your tune at all? And that is the one thing that I thought going all the way back to when this story took the turn to just being an embarrassment. When the FBI ruled that there was no hate crime and it was egg on NASCAR and, if you want to say, the Richard Petty Racing, Bubba Wallace, however far you want to go with this. I thought NASCAR did not do Bubba well. All right. Especially, why did they wait 2 days to release the picture that they released yesterday. If they had released it when the FBI came to their findings, then people could have made their own determination. And I don't think Bubba looks as bad in a lot of people's eyes when he's sitting there on national television going, I don't know what to tell you, but it was a noose. At least it was to him. Well, if you saw the picture yesterday, that looks like you could see where they would go, well, that looks like a noose. Now, the fact that it's at the end of the rope that you pull down to open the garage makes it a little weird. It does. It wasn't a separate rope that was hung, but you're like, that's not how these things usually look. NASCAR also released some facts yesterday. I'm guessing they had these facts for the FBI 2 days earlier, in which they said, we literally examined every one of our garage stalls at all the tracks we race at. We're talking a few thousand stalls. Apparently 11 open with a rope. That was the only one that had a noose or whatever you want, a donut, whatever it is that you want to describe it as. Now, was it there in the fall of last year? Yes, it was. I think most people objectively, though, would look at the pictures from the fall of 2019 and look at the picture that NASCAR sent out yesterday and go, that noose got a little bigger, all right, 8 months later than it was when it was just kind of a, hole, if you will, at the end of the rope. Now, I don't know about you, Mark. In my garage, our garage, all right, it's a way to get to the attic where the air conditioning is and what have you. And there is a rope that in the middle, and you reach up and you grab it and you pull down the ladder, if you will. It's the only one like it that we have in the house. At the bottom of that rope, though, it's not a noose, but there has been in the past just a little bit of
a knot.
Well, a knot that was a little loose so that you could reach in with a couple fingers and grab it. Okay, so that it wasn't just a ball at the end that you grabbed. It was a knot that also was a little loose at the end. So if you wanted to, if you had to, like my wife is 7 inches shorter than me. And so she may only be able to get her fingers through the knot to pull it down with. I obviously can reach up and grab the rope.
The hell's your wife doing in the attic?
Well, that's a whole other story. All right, exactly. Yes. I mean, I don't.
Sorry, David. You know me. I can't miss an opportunity for a little fun.
Right. I believe with hip replacement number 1, I believe it hasn't been in the attic since. But that is where the Christmas decorations were kept for the longest time. So once a year for a long time, I would all of a sudden look up and see my wife going upstairs and be like, "Hey, what the heck?"
I look at all of this.
Here.
I look at all this, and I have the biggest problem with NASCAR. Not throwing that picture out. Now, I don't know if we'll find out if the FBI didn't let them. I don't know why they wouldn't. To me, it's been a bad look for NASCAR because just too many delays. And, people are mad that Bubba Wallace doubled down, but when you see that picture, I'm sorry, when I look at that picture, that's what it looks like to me. I don't spend a lot of time around ropes. I don't know how to make a noose. I don't know how to make very good knots, for that matter. So I look at that. That looks very different than any garage rope I've ever seen in my life.
Well, and as NASCAR pointed out yesterday, there are very few garage ropes, period. In fact, apparently there are 11. In all of NASCAR, there are 11 garages that open with a rope. So, you could see where a team member would all of a sudden see a rope and be like, a rope? All right. So then, and they see what's on the end. And then, okay, according to the FBI, one of Bubba's teammates jumped to a conclusion. Called NASCAR. NASCAR came to the same conclusion, by the way.
Right.
I mean, that is the one. And then they were the ones that notified Bubba.
And when they showed, just take yourself, it's tough, but take yourself with everything that's going on in this world right now. And you're a black man. and you're shown that picture. I don't know if he was taken in there. Hey, we saw this. Hey, can I see it? Well, what the hell else would you think it was?
And the people around you think that it was put there with bad intentions.
Because
so
everybody was going, sorry, everybody's going Jesse Smollett right off the bat. Like they were, right off the bat, they were blaming Bubba for what? Having one of his teammates put that in there? I mean, is that what people think? Because I just think that's not only a stretch, it's crazy.
So now, did the media, and this is where, because I had these conversations for a day with a bunch of people, whether it was late Tuesday or it was on Wednesday, in which I said, all right, I get it. The media sucks. They're a very easy target. All right, trust me. And they've brought it on themselves. But with that said, you're a media member. And remember, most everybody covering the sport these days is not on site. They're off site.
For everything.
Right.
I mean, not just NASCAR, life's away from everything.
And they get a press release from NASCAR at 10 o'clock at night in which NASCAR claims that a noose was hanging in Bubba Wallace's garage stall. Well, what are you if you were in the media's shoes, what would you do? Would you immediately read it and go, that's BS? Or would you go, damn?
Official statement from NASCAR. Official statement, a press release. This is how the world in media works. We get press releases or these type of things. It went up on Twitter. Everybody saw it. Not to mention it's a half hour before the late news.
Now, I will say a couple of things that I was thinking at the time. I mean, first off, I even said it on the show. I go, I really cannot believe that this just happened. Okay. Now, I wasn't saying it in which I thought that it was fake. All right. But I mean, I was just flabbergasted, more so than I was outraged, to be honest with you. I spent the day just shaking my head going, I cannot believe that this would happen. Now, if NASCAR had released a photo upon further review as a reporter, okay, and we don't know, did anybody say, hey, do we have a picture of this somewhere? You know, could you send that out? Could we see what you're talking about here? All right. That would have helped everybody. And it does make you wonder, you know, I don't know if anybody in the media asked, but also B, someone with NASCAR going, you know, we probably should release a picture of it. You know, it's not going to do us any harm. I mean, you know, calling the FBI, we're investigating, they're investigating. I mean, you know, but I mean, we're saying the noose was left in Bubba Wallace's garage. We probably should show people the noose.
Right, because you had not called in the FBI yet.
Right.
I mean, when this happened, they could have put the picture out with release for that matter.
So that was, upon further review, if NASCAR had done that, then this goes down very differently. I think the Monday race and before the race, that would have been exactly the same. I think Richard Petty reacts the same way. I think all the other drivers react the same way. But then, you know, some people might have gone, man, I don't know if that's a noose. We got some video from somebody from last fall saying that, you know, that rope's got kind of a round knot at the end of it. This looks as if maybe it just got bigger. And then the FBI comes in and goes, hey, there was no malice here. Does it look like a noose? Yes. Okay. But did somebody plant a noose in his garage? We came to the conclusion they did not. Okay. But it's Bubba Wallace's stall. You know, the been a little bit of attention, a little bit of pressure the last couple of weeks, and they walked in and some people, you know, took a look at it and came to the conclusion that there was malice with this. We came to the conclusion that, yeah, it looks like a noose, but there was no malice behind it. The rope just loosened and got bigger at the end, and either we need to cut it off or we need to tighten this up so that nobody mistakes it for anything else. The other thing that the FBI came to was they said there was no way to know that Bubba was going to get assigned that stall. If you know what I mean. So that's why the FBI was like, it's to think that somebody would have planned. They had no idea where Bubba's car was going. So that's part of why the FBI came to the conclusion that they came to. Was it embarrassing for NASCAR? Yes. And in turn, did they make one of their drivers look bad? Yes. And then he goes out and does a CNN interview and a couple of morning show interviews the next day in which he's like, hey, I don't know what to tell you. It was a noose. And people are sitting at home going, there's a statement here from the FBI that's basically saying it's not, although that's not really what they said. They just said there was no malice behind it. Why? Because we didn't have a picture. And I thought NASCAR needed to protect Bubba more on two occasions. One, they should have released the picture right away. Upon further review, that's something they should have done. And secondly, when the FBI came to the conclusion that they came, all right, NASCAR needed to go over the series of events again because most people did not know that it was not Bubba Wallace who walked in and saw it.
Correct.
It was not Bubba that found it. It was not Bubba that reported it. It was actually a teammate,
a
somebody
team
working
member
on the car, but it was NASCAR.
Right. A
that
team member
ultimately decided that was a noose and this was a hate crime.
And the FBI then gets called in. And again, there's two things here. It wasn't the media and it wasn't Bubba Wallace in the beginning. And I think you're right, David, that they let him just put him in a bad spot by not putting the picture out. And I a couple people have said already, maybe the FBI wanted that as evidence. Fine, but once the FBI makes their release, why is that picture not available? Right. They've done their job. They've said there's nothing here, so the photo's no longer evidence. The photo, as we now know, is public.
Even if NASCAR waits until the FBI says, hey, there was no malice here, there was no hate crime, if they had released the photo then, all right, it would have backed Bubba up. And it would have backed themselves up a lot more. I mean, here's the FBI going, I don't know what to tell you. This is just a huge misunderstanding. Okay, and at least NASCAR could go, hey, we're a little embarrassed. You want to throw as much egg on our face as you want as possible. But if you were in our shoes and you saw this, what would you conclude? Now, we came to the wrong conclusion. That's on us. Okay, but it's not out of the realm. You got to give us that. It's not out of the realm to walk into the garage and see this and come to the conclusion that we came, is it?
David, for the life of me, what you said, NASCAR needed to be out publicly the minute the FBI came up with their conclusions. You've got to take the presser. You got to take the heat right now.
Yep.
And it's over. David, you and I have been doing shows together for about 13 years, I think, on and off. And how many times have we talked about just getting out in front of a story? I mean, we can go back through all these different stories when things like this happen, and leagues and organizations and teams and players screw up when there was no need. Look, if there are plenty of screw-ups out there where you can't get away from them, this is really simple. This is as simple as NASCAR getting up there and saying, here's what happened when, I don't even know if you name Wallace's teammate that found it. He informed NASCAR. Here was the picture. We immediately send it to the FBI. They said they wanted to investigate. I mean, there is a timeline here that I think puts a lot of people, not necessarily, still would get some heat. People are going to get some heat, but it would have made it a lot easier. They failed to report the back end of the story, David. They were rushing. I mean, they were like a media outlet. They were rushing to get the story out, and then they never finished their job.
And I thought that NASCAR needed to come out and say, listen, got to be honest, if we walk into a garage next week and see this, we might come to the same conclusion. Okay, but in retrospect, we have put Bubba and, quite frankly, the media that covers our sport, as it turned out, we were wrong. Now, we were not wrong about it being a noose, but we were wrong about it being a hate crime. We took the next step. We figured that this was done intentionally, in which apparently it was not. And we're comfortable with the FBI's findings, by the way. But as it turned out, we brought a lot of undue harm, A, to our sport, all right, B, to Bubba, and C, now the national media is made to look like a fool because obviously, I mean, the national media went nuts. A noose in the garage of the only black driver on the circuit, the only one of the major sports that has had a blatant race problem, not just in terms of those that are competing in the sport, but also with their fans, quite frankly. I mean, the Confederate flag and everything. I mean, it is the most stereotypical major sport that we have. And so I think NASCAR, if they literally had just released the photo they released yesterday, 1 or 2 days earlier, it would have gone a long way. And because also think about it, I think it was Tuesday late afternoon that the FBI goes, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. This was not a hate crime. Well, that night, Bubba goes on Don Lemon's show on CNN, and he's going, I'm telling you, it's a noose. Well, we don't have the photo yet. So people are sitting at home going, dude, what the hell are you talking about? The FBI just came out and said, no noose. Or maybe it was Wednesday in which that happened. And so, and then Bubba goes on the morning shows the next morning and says, I don't know what to tell you, but, to me, it was a noose. Well, you could see where you're sitting at home going, hey, Bubba, what are you're doubling down on thin air right now. The FBI just said there was no there. Well, if the photo was out, and then Bubba could be on television going, hey, I wasn't the one that found it, but I got to admit, when I first saw it, I kind of agreed with everybody else.
And I kind of freaked out.
Yeah.
And I was scared. And how would you have felt? I mean, the whole thing changes if at Tuesday at 4 or 5 o'clock that they put that picture up.
Yes. If when the FBI release their findings,
changes.
If they send the picture out with it, all right, then people could take a look at it and go, wow, this was turns out to be a very embarrassing misunderstanding. But I could see where people would jump to the conclusion that they jumped to there. That's not your normal rope with a hole at the end of it, handle at the end, whatever it is. Quite frankly, it looks like a noose. Huh. Damn. How unfortunate. How embarrassing to everybody.
Look at David, if a year and a half from now, we put that picture up and did a poll question, is this A, a noose, B, not a noose? I think most people would say that's a noose. There might be a few rope experts that would tell us it's something different.
Right. Right.
I mean, because we've got someone arguing that if you define any loop in a rope as a noose, then it was a noose. Dude, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a rope expert, but when I look at that looks like a noose to me.
To me, if you go all the way back to the beginning, NASCAR came to the conclusion it was a noose. They came to the conclusion it was a noose before Bubba had seen it. Now, would they have come to that conclusion 3 months earlier? Would they have come to that conclusion a year earlier? Was it the heightened times that we are in right now that helped cause NASCAR to come to the faulty conclusion that they did?
That to me, that's the other and the biggest thing about this. We're in a spot in this world right now where we are having protest on a daily basis about equality for black people. And in the midst of the largest movement in my lifetime of protest, this happens. Sorry, people jump to some conclusions, including NASCAR.
And NASCAR could have just said, hey, embarrassing and it's on us. Okay, but whatever you do, blame us. But I mean, hey, the media took our word on it. I mean, what are they supposed to do? Now, upon further review going forward, if you're the media, do you have to wait 24 hours? Do you have to the next organization? Do you say, hey, you got any evidence of this?
I
Because,
think people will write that now and say we don't have any picture. I mean, I think it will be. I think anything like this will be reported very differently. It'll still be reported, David, but it will be reported differently.
but the other thing that I believe, because let's face it, most people are not NASCAR fans. Most people don't understand the relationship between the NASCAR media. And granted, the national media picked up the story and went bonkers on it. But to the NASCAR media, when NASCAR sends out an official release, I mean, that's gospel. I mean, there's one family that runs this sport. There's not a lot of layers to the NASCAR hierarchy. When NASCAR releases a statement, the NASCAR media goes, well, this is the law of the land. This is the way it is. There's no appeals process here. And so, and clearly, nobody thought, could they be wrong? Is there any way that they saw something and they jumped to a conclusion? There was nobody involved in racing who, now maybe they were scared to, but there was no one who whispered. And also what I think is important is, the drivers amongst themselves, come on now, the word gets out. All right. And they all joined in. They all agreed with the conclusion. So, do a bunch of people end up with egg on their face? Absolutely. If I was in the media, I don't know if I would have, whatever it is I would have said or written on Monday before the race or after the race, I don't know if I would have written or said anything different knowing the facts that I knew at that time.
And the one thing that we got a lot of on Monday about this, or Tuesday about this, David, was people, the Jesse Smollett thing, that's implying, I'm
Yes.
leaping a little bit here, but that's
Yes.
implying that it was planted by Wallace's, by someone on his team or by Bubba. Yes.
Right. Right. Which is very unfair.
That's because everybody that denied it and called BS on our show, every listener, none of them said it wasn't there. They said basically they thought it was Jesse Smollett, that he planted it there.
Right. And it's another reason why, once again, we believe somebody with NASCAR has to have the common sense to go, hey, this is embarrassing, but we got to fall on the sword here because they're going to come after Bubba. And somebody needed to go, they're going to come to the Jesse Smollett conclusion. All right. And we need to make sure this is on us. This is on us. This is not on him. This is on us. All right. We need to protect him here. We're the ones that came to a conclusion that turned out to be wrong. Now, he agreed with our conclusion, but then again, he's standing in unique shoes. So I think if NASCAR releases a photo, if literally they have it to do over again, if they release a photo 24 plus hours early, if they release it when the FBI comes to their findings, the aftermath of this goes very differently. Because Bubba's interviews on Don Lemon, the Today Show, Good Morning America, et cetera, even though by the middle of the day, he had said something in which he kind of went big picture and, I've had a chance to take a deep breath, et cetera. And what he said, I think most people would agree with, but a lot of people not happy with those interviews that he gave in between the FBI's finding and the statement he sent out about 18 hours later. And I think the reaction to Bubba's interviews, Mark, would have been very different if NASCAR had released the photo.
No doubt in my mind. No doubt at all.
Miller and Moulton.
Celebrating the 3-day work week this week and the 4-day work week next.
Starting five is next.
Only
Thanks so
thing
much
we're going to do 5 of for the next couple of weeks. The starting 5. That's it.
That's right. That's right. After the July 4th holiday, we'll put a good little 4-week run together of work. But, yeah, we will.
We'll see.
Then we're going to have some time off again in August.
Yes, we
That's
are.
how that works. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for being with us. Starting five is next. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Buy some time off in August. We are talking possibly all of
August.
August.
Match is set to take place. The first spoonful of ice cream shoveled in, maybe a little too fast. We could have a brain freeze situation here.
Cannot fill the void of baseball.
And after making quick work of the dishes, she turns to, oh, wait.
We'll get back to the ballpark
The cat was settled by her feet.
eventually.
Look out below, she's going down.
A message of hope from Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Marketplace is sponsored by Kronos, helping businesses attract, retain, and engage employees through cloud-based human capital management. Kronos.com. Kronos, workforce innovation that works.
Looking for a frameless shower door? My Shower Door has just opened their 8th Florida showroom, and it's conveniently located in Cape Coral. With more than 75,000 frameless shower doors installed, no one has more experience and 5-star reviews than My Shower Door. We've been named #1 by readers of the News Press and Naples News for 17 consecutive years and have just been named as Lee County's Manufacturer of the Year. Want to see more? Go to myshowerdor.com.
Dial star 2020. France, I care.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jonathan France. We know that weakened vision can limit our ability to enjoy day-to-day activities. And with the clear advantage of the Panoptix lens, seeing without glasses for distance driving,
Fishing was amazing.
computers, and reading
We killed
is
it.
now possible. This is the
Didn't catch
first
enough big
of
fish
many
yesterday, though.
trifocal
There are no
lens
big fish in the water
designed to be
anymore
used to help
when it
people
comes
get
to mahi.
20/20 distance, near, and in between.
The Keys
Most
fishermen are not very
importantly,
happy about the
doing
long
cataract
lining in
surgery
the
for
Carolinas.
Over 30 years, experience matters.
Big fish don't make it down here
Quality
anymore.
Outcomes matter. Reputation matters. And most importantly, I want you to know that I'm going to treat you like a member of my own family.
So that
You
big
deserve
fishing
to see
tournament
your
they had
future
in North
2020.
Carolina a week or so ago that Jordan was in.
No. That's for a different kind of fish. No, just actual commercial fishing. They fish mahi far more than they ever used to because, well, they're plentiful. They repopulate very quickly, and so they've been selling more. So they kind of migrate from, whatever, the North Atlantic down around to Florida as the summer comes.
Right.
And in the Carolinas, they just fish the ever-living crap out of them. So most of the big ones aren't ever going to make it down here anymore. Just talking like there's 15 boats in this tournament, and nobody got a big fish. When I was there 3 years ago, for the way we fish, like my captain said, because we just go, if we don't see a big one, we move to the next school. We could have we could have filled every fish box with mahi yesterday. We probably kept, 30 or 40, just because when you catch a couple, you throw it in, you move on. Cody just said to me, he goes, Mark, come on, you fished before. We saw that many fish. He goes, to see a 30, 40 pounder, it's got to happen. And we never saw a big fish. Not that we missed it. We didn't even see one, which is just not normal. But because the tournaments, I don't ever want to do that again. It was a long effing day yesterday, and you just get the shit kicked out of you. We were 35 miles out in like 3,000 feet of water. And just, those waves, and you're in a boat, you're just this all
Right.
like my shoulders are sore today. I'm old. And to do a whole day of fishing without being able to drink because you got to drive home. No fun. No fun at all.
Now back to Miller and Moulton. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
25 minutes before the top of the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton back in the saddle again, and we will be Monday through Thursday of next week. We will take next Friday off. It's a company holiday, and we don't get many, so we're going to take one.
Yeah. And more than anything, it's not really for Miller and Moulton, but it's a company holiday. And we technically don't work for the company.
Right. It's a strange arrangement.
Regardless of that, Giro, our producer in the morning, he does work for the company.
Right.
And he would have to work on a day that he's not supposed to, and that's not fair.
Right.
Or someone would who's not. If he said, I'm not working, someone would.
Right.
So we're just making it easy on
everybody.
on staffing. And
right.
Who's kidding who? Not like there's baseball to talk about.
Not like there's sports to talk about, although there are. And that's why we have the starting five.
The starting five. 5 big stories that you need to know. This is Miller and Moulton starting five. Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
We'll start with the NFL. They canceled the Hall of Fame ceremony for this year and the game as well. The Cowboys and Steelers will play next year. Jimmy Johnson sent out a tweet that said, well, great, I got to wait another year. It's a good tweet.
That is.
The NFL did announce that, we're expecting training camps to start on time. That's very late July or very early August. They also, although they didn't announce this, it was reported that there will likely not be fans in the first 6 to 8 rows of any of the stadiums. They're going to be tarped off, and the NFL is going to put advertising on the tarps because, well, it'll be seen on television. So it's a chance for the owners to do what? Make up some revenue.
This is a weird one because think about the price of those seats.
Oh, yeah.
Think about those fans. I mean, obviously, we don't know if you're going to get 25% of your tickets, half your tickets, or what it is. But now we've just told a few hundred season ticket holders that they have to move. And I saw this either late last night or this morning. I don't remember when I actually read that one. And I just kind of joked and can't wait to tell my wife, make sure your mother-in-law keeps her tickets this year because they're in row 13. They will be gold.
And we can debate, whether or not there's going to be fans at the games, period. And if so, how many?
Right,
but
right.
That is what the NFL is thinking. First 6 to 8 rows, no fans for safety purposes. Keep the fans as far away from the players as possible. But, we'll tarp them off and we can sell advertising on those tarps. Did you see the picture of all the Ole Miss and Mississippi State coaches? There were 15 of them yesterday that descended upon the capital of Mississippi to lobby state lawmakers to change the state flag. There is part of the Confederacy flag in the Mississippi state flag, and because of it, well, the SEC, Conference USA have both said, and the NCAA have said, we're not going to hold any more conference tournaments or NCAA games in your state until you change the flag. And so the 2 major universities in the state and their coaches lobbied the legislature and said, hey, the time has come, change the flag. Now, they lobbied the state legislature 5 years ago for this, but they didn't do it in the way that they did it yesterday. It was interesting to watch Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach, just kind of messing with each other and playing with their masks and what have you. John Swofford is the commissioner of the ACC. He has been the commissioner since the late 90s. He announced this is his last year. The 2021 sports season, that'll be it for John Swofford. And by this time next year, he will be the former commissioner of the ACC. If you think about it, Mark, a handful of years ago, you had Mike Slive, Jim Delaney, and John Swofford, who were the power brokers in college sports. And Mike Slive retired and has passed away. Jim Delaney is retired, and now Swofford will be gone in less than a year.
As you were saying it, I was going to say it as quickly as you did there. That is amazing that you're talking about the 2 premier conferences in the ACC because of Swofford. We all knew who they were.
Well, and also, even in this past decade, between first Florida State and then Clemson, it's not like the ACC hasn't been a major player in football, and we always know it's a major player in basketball. And John Swofford and Mike Slive, if you remember back 8 to 10 years ago, They had the conference in Florida. They had the big meeting was in Florida, and Slive and Swafford thought they had two of the other commissioners to agree with them, and they were pushing for a playoff. They were pushing for a 4-team playoff. And when it came time for the vote, two of the commissioners abandoned them. And Slive and Swafford were on the wrong side of a 4-2 vote. All right. At which point they then waited a year or so, and Alabama and LSU played one another in a rematch for the national championship. And then it was funny. Then all the other conference commissioners agreed with Mike Slive and John Swafford.
Well, Delaney was the one who nixed it. Make no mistake. He's the one that got the two to switch because he was the heaviest hitter. And it just, you wonder going forward how this will affect the next playoff, any conference realignment. There are a lot of things that could happen with three brand new commissioners in the last, 5 years, David?
Yes. San Francisco Giants told their fans yesterday, we're not going to sell any tickets to any of the games. However, if you want us to put a cardboard cutout of you in your seats, we will do that. So cardboard cutouts are possible.
Can they heckle the Astros? That's all I really care about, David.
No
Can
word
the
on that.
cardboard cutout heckle the Astros?
Vince Carter made it official yesterday. Vince Carter said that this was going to be his last year, and Carter signed with the Atlanta Hawks. Well, the Hawks are one of the teams that was not good enough to make the NBA resuming in a month in Orlando. And so Vince Carter, who technically, the Hawks could have released him. Maybe Carter could have signed with somebody for the stretch run. Vince said, no, I'm 43 years old, 22 years. I am done. Mark, Vince Carter was the rookie of the year in 1999. He's the only
basketball.
Player, yes. He's the only player in the history of the league to play in 4 different decades.
And he will be, I think, the only one that ever does it.
He's also the last player to have played for Dean Smith, who was in the NBA. But a remarkable 22-year career for Vince Carter came to an end. Another player has said, I'm not coming back. I'm not playing in this. Willie Cauley-Stein of the Dallas Mavericks, the starting center, he's like, wife's pregnant. We're going to have a kid next month. I ain't doing this. I'm not coming back. And so and Mark Cuban and the Mavs, they're fine with it. College basketball news. The entire Grand Canyon University men's basketball team has been quarantined because of their exposure to the coronavirus. And obviously right now in Arizona, it's kind of a big story.
I thought it was their exposure to agents with money.
Well, it's Grand Canyon University.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, right. It's not Arizona.
That's Dan Marley.
Arizona
That's the former Dan Marley, right?
Right. What was it? Is it Mackenzie Hughes shot a 60 yesterday at the Travelers? That'll play, That'll play. I mean, everybody was talking about the coronavirus at the start of the day yesterday because Koepka and a handful of others withdrew from the tournament because they had been exposed to a couple of the guys who have now tested positive for the coronavirus. And that's what everybody was talking about yesterday. And then we were on 59 watch, and that changed the storyline. So, 60.
David, I don't know if it's the routing that they placed, but the time off for the tour players did not seem to affect them very much.
No.
Because the numbers are so flippin' low, it's not even funny.
No. Now, I'll say it again. The first 3 courses that they're playing are not hard. They're short, and they're not hard as PGA Tour courses go. But yes, Mark, I think it's pretty obvious. These guys all have simulators, and they all got their swings grooved.
Well,
they're ready to play.
And where do most of them live? Florida. We played golf throughout this entire thing, unless you were in Dade, Broward, or Palm Beach counties.
Speaking of Florida, Golf Channel moving from Orlando to Connecticut, and they let go of just about everybody who works in Orlando earlier this week. Really, really sad. Finally, some hockey news. It wasn't yesterday, but it was while we were off. The Hockey Hall of Fame welcomes Jerome McGinley, Marian Hossa, Kevin Lowe and Doug Wilson. Alexander Mogilny left out, which is bothering a lot of people. Ken Holland gets in the builder category. Now, I have a problem with that because he's 3 cups, granted, but boy, I could argue Scotty Bowman left him the personnel for the first 2. I mean, I could argue that.
They worked together. Kenny Holland was very good at bringing, with the scouts, but it was also at a time when there was no cap in the league and they were outspending everybody. Not to mention there are some other. I'm surprised by it. I'll just leave it at that.
Ken Holland got in over Ken Hitchcock. A lot of people thought that Ken Hitchcock was going to get
Hitchcock
in.
won at every level. Every level.
And that was the Hockey Hall of Fame. And that mark is...
The starting 5. 5 big stories that you need to know. This is Miller and Moulton starting 5. Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
And while we were away, the Ryder Cup got pushed back to 2021.
Good. They want fans at it.
Yes, they do. And the players basically were saying we don't want to play in it if there aren't going to be fans at it, including their European players. Good for them. 13 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton. Thanks for being with us, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Welcome to the program.
This is the Dan Patrick Show.
Baker Mayfield had this to say about his new philosophy moving into this season.
It's just time to work.
All right. I got to look up Marion Host's stats because he just never seemed like a Hall of Famer to me.
You know, his points per game are really good. He had like 1,100-something points in 1,300 games. I think Hossa got the benefit of the doubt because of the skin condition cutting his career short. And I think a lot of people feel he would have tacked on another 3 years, another couple hundred points. And
I guess it's the 500 goals.
Well, and also, how many of those Blackhawks titles teams was he on? 2010, 2013, 2015.
Yeah, he was on all of them.
Yeah.
He had 1 year. He was early in his career. He had some years where he was above a point a game player with Ottawa. They weren't. All right, whatever. I just didn't. When I saw that name with the others, he just didn't have the appearance of the same guy. I guess because I have a part about all Chicago Blackhawks that I despise. That's my least favorite team in hockey, and they have the single best logo in sports.
Oh, I know. It's amazing.
And I mean, it's not, I mean, I can recognize, I can balance it too, but, all those Norris division years, I did not like the Blackhawks and I did not like the Maple Leafs.
I think I like the Blackhawks red jersey better than the white one.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But the white one's pretty damn cool. I prefer the Rangers white jersey more than the blue jersey.
Absolutely.
But I prefer the Blackhawks red jersey to the white.
And either Canadians jersey's just perfect to me.
Yeah.
Either one.
Are really the best mechanics in this business. And they've been through years of training and years of testing with continuing education to keep up to date on the latest and greatest things.
Yeah, Miller and Moulton fan, you're not the only one. There was a big effort to try to get Rod Brindamore in.
But we're most proud of our team being on the cutting edge and the leaders in technology.
His stats are a lot better than people think.
And he's a leader.
Yes.
They don't win that cup in Carolina without Rod Brindamore. It never, ever happens.
Absolutely.
You could almost credit him with making sure hockey stayed in a city.
Yes, he is revered there.
That's why they made him the head coach. He was in my accounting class.
Listen to Miller and Moulton at home.
Bet you got a better grade than I did.
Just say Alexa.
Accounting class was a bitch. Start of me not making the business school.
On TuneIn.
Son's going through the same problem right now. Listen to this crap. He's got a second summer session. They screwed up the first summer session, which I paid on time. Then they said they didn't get the money. They took it out of my account. And then they didn't get him in the classes. And then he doesn't have me on the list, so I couldn't bitch. But so then he calls me today, or yesterday, we're talking on the way home. And he says, Dad, I'm a little worried about this accounting class. He says, tomorrow's ad drop, and I may drop it. I go, do you get your money back? And he's like, yeah. I go, okay. So then he starts talking more. No virtual class. There's videos. And then he emailed the prof, and the prof said, yeah, you're pretty much going to have to self-taught. I'm like, what the fuck am I paying for?
Exactly.
I mean, I was hot. And he's like, thank you. He goes, Michael, his boss is, and I'm like, Jacob, I go, look it. And then he says to me, he goes, I want to talk to you about something. He goes, I got some advice from a friend. He goes, might change majors. And I said, Jacob, did the Hammonds tell you have to have a business degree to work for them? No, I have to have a degree to stay here. I go, never said in what, right?
Yeah.
Get your fucking communications degree and get out of there. Like, you
Gonna
hate college. You've told me over and over, you despise. He goes, well, I like the social part. I go, well, everybody likes the social part, but he doesn't like class. I'm like, change your goddamn major. I don't care. Just get out of the place. Sooner you're off the payroll, the better.
License number CCC 1326954.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You're open. You're live.
8 minutes before the top of the hour. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? We're Miller and Moulton. This is Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming foxsportsfm.com and broadcasting live once again on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and twitch.tv channels. You know, Mark, we got left out earlier this week on Tuesday. Twitch had a really big, and it went really well for them, in which, they took, there are, I don't know, 15 maybe sports shows that broadcast live through Twitch. And so they put a group of them together and they kind of put them front and center on the channel. And so we all got a lot more exposure that day than we normally do. There was like no way to miss it type deal. But they started at 9 a.m.
Right. We got kicked to the curb once again.
Right. And I think we might be the only morning show that's on Twitch. I don't know if there's another
Perfect reason to start at 9 a.m.
And so I sent an email to, our buddy Don, in which I said, hey, when you do this again, any chance you start at 6? He goes, oh, yeah, you're on the list. I'm like, okay.
On the list. I've been on the list before.
Yes, we have.
Been on a lot of lists. I like lists.
In fact, might want to put that on a T-shirt or a business card. Miller and Moulton were on the list. In our first act, it was somewhat successful. Maybe in our second act, that'll be our theme.
We're on the list.
We're on the list. 479-5551, 479-5551 is how you can chime in via the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line.
But more importantly than that list, you need to check out the all-new, the brand-new MillerandMoulton.com.
No!
If you're going to listen to the show, we'd ask that you listen to it through MillerandMoulton.com. Want to download the show? MillerandMoulton.com.
No!
Oh, yeah.
It's fine. It's done?
It went up on Tuesday after the show because we wanted to make sure things were working right, had a long talk, and I said, hey, if we can do it on Friday, he goes, well, how about we do it now so it's there for a couple of days and nothing bad happens and we can just make sure everything's right.
Hot steaming deal.
So we look as professional as we have ever looked, and I want to thank Gentry Thomas and his guys at his offices because they did all of this for us. They made a big leap of faith in taking our website and what we're going to try to do from a podcast standpoint and everything else going forward to the next level. So check out the new MillerandMoulton.com.
Wow.
Big, gigantic picture of our faces.
Oh, damn. Don't try to sell that. I mean, we're trying to get people to go on the site, for goodness sakes.
No, we look good. It's that professionally done picture.
Oh, so they doctored them up.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah, exactly.
Hey, hold on a second, though. Is it Biggie D, though, on the site?
Well, yeah.
Oh,
we need new photos is what you're telling us.
Yes, Skinny D needs to get some pictures taken. Wow.
So the all-new Miller and Moulton website is up. Check it out. And you can listen to the show right there. You want to check out the show? You missed the show? I think they're just looping the sucker all day long. Anytime you go on, Miller and Moulton.
They're just looping the sucker. We're the Yule log. All right. We are the U-Log. I love the U-Log. I got to admit. I didn't care that it was the same 8 to 12 second photo 8,000 times. I didn't care.
I don't know what I'm going to do this year because I've switched from Comcast to DirecTV, and Comcast was the home of the U-Log. I'm sure there's another one out there I can find on YouTube or something. But I'm with you, David. I don't need a fireplace in Florida. All I need is that Yule-Log channel.
That's it. That's all I need, and I'm good.
Right.
I can just let my imagination run wild.
We will come up with a poll question during the break. Come back at the top of the hour with that said poll question. Maybe, if we can come up with one.
Our question of the day, though, has nothing to do with a poll question. It's the San Francisco Giants saying to their fans, none of you are going to be allowed to come to any of the games, but we will put cardboard cutouts of you, if you want, in your seats for the games, which, of course, begs the question mark, if you were a cardboard cutout, what would you be?
Wow.
One of the soccer teams got in trouble over in Europe. They had a picture of Osama bin Laden in the stands.
Well, I would love to see the soccer teams go all Sgt. Peppers. I mean, there's something to that type of an album cover. I think if you went, it just all people, famous people that were dead, I think you could work with that as well.
Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
I didn't refresh my clock, so I was scared I was way off, and I was.
Well, and it ended up being 52 seconds after on mine.
I knew when I...
That's why the pause, because I stopped at 50.
Yeah, I realized I did not.
So apparently, as we're finding out in the Twitch chat room right now, we are not on a good spot on Twitch.
Well, no, we are talk shows and podcasts. That's what we are. We're not sports and fitness.
Gotcha. Where I'm from, your quote on the list is not a good thing. Yes, Johnny. We know. Right, on the list. That's kind of like the girl will eventually get around to dating us if she can't find anybody else. Right.
So I got the best news ever from my kid. So he's got this girl that they're starting to get a little more serious with. And
something to make me look stupid. I mean, on purpose.
And I think she's a couple years younger. She's like 19 or 20. And she has spent the night at his place once. And nothing, I know nothing really happened. But what the good news is that her parents found out because of the tracking on her phone.
Oh, wow.
And I said, Jake, that is terrible for you. But for me, it is the best news I have ever heard because I'm going to be 60 when my daughter's 16.
Is we took our family business, we hired great talent.
All right, what's our poll question?
Developed our product. Now, after 17 years, my shower door has 8 frameless shower
doors. Got to last through the
doors,
weekend here.
Our newest in Cape Coral.
Who deserves most of the blame for the noose fiasco? NASCAR, the media?
See more, go to myshowerdor.com.
NASCAR, the media, Bubba Wallace?
Yeah.
Are the 3 choices?
WFSXAM from the Rock to downtown Fort Myers.
I don't know what else there is out there.
Fiasco / misunderstanding.
C4MH.com.
Who do you blame most? For the NASCAR noose misunderstanding / fiasco. NASCAR, the media, Bubba Wallace. I blame NASCAR.
I do too.
So according to Miller and Moulton fan, Seth's...
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
It takes 4 seconds to do that.
That's interesting. He blames Talladega Speedway.
So we'll add that one. Yeah, because he said that earlier. He says, really, there's 11 ropes in all of NASCAR.
Right.
And the one black driver gets one of the 11 garages that has the noose or has the rope.
Right. But you got to admit, though, it's bad luck because they had the same rope in October or November of last year, and they had a different driver in it.
I understand. I got you.
Yep.
Drop it off at the front door. Probably in the mailbox. Go back, Ike.
Broadcasting live from the Kobe Cooling Remote Studios, where it's always cool and comfortable.
Oh, I like
It's up to you now. It's up to you.
I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
As we approach a couple minutes past 7 on this Friday morning, the final one of June in 2020. Thanks so much for being with us. We are Miller and Moulton, and this is Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming on millerandmoulton.com. Yeah.
Lock it in.
That's also where you can go to download our Connecticut cast. Every hour of the show has its own podcast, brought to you by Connecticut. Best damn water that we have ever had. And I grew up next to a spring in Jersey, which I know sounds like an oxymoron, but no, really, it was true. You can also watch and listen to Miller and Moulton via the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch.tv channels.
Poll question is up. Who do you blame most for the NASCAR noose misunderstanding / fiasco? NASCAR, the media, Bubba Wallace, Talladega Speedway. I added that as one of our Twitch listeners threw that in as David and I were discussing the question during the break. He added a fourth because he says, I blame Talladega the most. So therefore, I figured I'd throw that one up and put all four possible up there.
I blame NASCAR.
I do too.
The most.
They put that picture out on Tuesday. They take a lot of heat off a lot of people. And I don't get it.
Put it on themselves. And it's all right. I mean, because essentially, it also would have backed up what the FBI was saying. It was difficult, I think, for a lot of us, Mark, to be like, hold on a second. You're saying this, and the FBI came out and said it's a misunderstanding. Could we see the proof and then come to our own conclusion as to, did you guys just not get enough sleep and you needed a nap before you came to the conclusion that you did? Or it kind of looks like a noose, but then they determined that it looks like a noose, but it wasn't a noose, if you know what I mean, because there was no malice behind it.
And L on Twitch says, I'm confused. I thought it was a hate crime against Wallace, so why would it be his fault? And it just said, who do you blame most for the misunderstanding? Because Bubba Wallace, after there was a report that there was no noose by the FBI, does 3 interviews in which he says it's a noose.
Right.
Then on Thursday, NASCAR decides to release the picture that started this whole thing. Between Monday and Thursday, there were a couple of false pictures that were out there that made it look like there was nothing at all from this rope. It was just basically an untied rope. And that was the only thing that we had, even though it wasn't the right photo. So people are upset that Bubba Wallace doubled down by continuing to say it was a noose when the FBI clearly said it was not.
Right. People were watching Bubba, although I don't know how many people watch Don Lemon's show, but they were, the clips from it, they saw the next morning anyway. Plus, he was on the Today Show and Good Morning America, in which he's going, I don't know what to tell you, but it was a noose. And the rest of us are going, well, the FBI, although they didn't conclude it wasn't a noose by saying it wasn't a hate crime, you could see where most of us would go, well, then I don't think it was a noose. Yet, when you see the picture, okay, does the end of the rope look like a noose? Yeah. I thought so. When I saw it, I went, oh, that's a little different than the pictures we saw of what that rope looked like in November last year. That's a much bigger, hole, if you will. That's not just the type of, so that a hand could get in and grab it. That looks a little bigger. I could see where somebody would see it in Bubba Wallace's stall and freak out. Now, the FBI determined, it's the same rope and the same noose, if you will, that was there 7 months ago. It's just that the noose got bigger. So I don't know what to tell you. Nobody planted a noose in his stall as a hate crime. It's just that something happened to the rope, and now it's a much bigger handle or whatever it is you want to call it. Not. And therefore, you came to the wrong conclusion. Oh, it's Gilda Radner. Never mind. And I thought that NASCAR needed to bail everybody out. They needed to bail Bubba. They needed to and quite frankly, just say, wow, sorry, we've never done this before. We kind of screwed up, and we're very sorry because we made a bunch of people now look bad who don't deserve the egg on their face. However, if you take a look at this picture, you might be able to see why we came to the conclusion that we did. Maybe not. And don't get me wrong, we screwed up. But if you saw this picture, you might have screwed up too. That's all we're saying. Thanks to the FBI for coming in and straightening us out. And thank goodness it wasn't a hate crime, quite frankly. We'll take the embarrassment.
Yes.
To not have it be our worst fears realized.
Now, someone had asked earlier about the Sonoma noose. Very different than the Talladega noose, because this one was tied from a tree outside of the admin building.
Yeah, right. There's not 11 of those in NASCAR.
No. But I mean, someone asked, and I wanted to bring it up. If it was asked in our chat room, I thought it was worthy of at least bringing up, because I answered that person directly during a break. But I thought if they're saying that, there are others probably wondering, because we had two nooses talked about right back to back. And all of the focus has been on the one that's not a noose. The fact of the matter, at Sonoma, I don't know. I mean, here's what I would ask you to do, by the way. Go look at the Sonoma picture of the noose, and then look at the Talladega picture of the noose. And ask yourself this one question. Would you have been able to jump to a similar conclusion? Because I looked at both pictures, and the knot on the rope looks the same. Again, and, Arch was all over me because I'm ignorant about rope and knots, that it's on me. Okay, I guess I'll do a lot of investigating as to what a noose looks like versus whatever knot we want to call that one later in the day today, and I'll get up to it. I mean, there was a time when I took sailing at Michigan State, I could tie a few knots because that was a required. That was a required part in order to pass the test. You had to tie certain knots. Can't remember any of them.
Hold on. You took a course in college called sailing?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. We went to Lake Michigan for the weekend. It was a weekend class. It was a PE class, 1 credit. You left on Friday. You drove to the lake, a little inland lake from Lake Michigan, and they had 3 sailboats. You stayed on the boats, and you learned how to sail over the course of all day Saturday and then Sunday, and you left dinner time Sunday and headed back to campus.
And that was it.
That was it.
That was the class.
Yes.
Pass, fail?
No. 4.0, baby. Everybody got one. It was great.
Well,
you had a decent lab fee for it because this guy got paid whatever for the lab fee for staying on the boats. Literally got there, and he sat you down on Friday. Everybody got assigned their spots, and he told you where to go party. That was basically the first thing. You guys want to go have a bonfire? You need to go down here. No one will bother you. Do your thing. And there was a summer class that was a week-long 3-credit sailing class that I was signed up for, but it was about the time of my life when I was running out of money in college, and the parents had long since cut me off for bad grades. Yeah. So I had to make a choice, the $300 lab fee for the sailing class or rent. I went with rent.
Boy, well, when you're trying to double down on your sailing classes, that's when maybe you're struggling in school. I know I took the 1-credit sailing, but I'm also allowed to kind of finesse in here a 3-credit sailing.
Right. I mean, I did know how to tie the bowline knot. At that, I don't anymore. Couldn't do it. Knew my knots then. Knot school. That was one of the classes, David. You had to go to knot school.
And we're not talking bread knots either.
No. No, not garlic knots. No. Knots. We digress.
High school coaching, by the way. The most ridiculous 1-credit class that I took.
All right, I had that one and hockey. I had hockey for 1 credit and sailing for 1 credit.
Now, was hockey just like learning how to play?
No, it was pickup. It was basically shinny at Munn.
It's a it's a place of higher learning, right? Michigan State University here?
No, it's a college. Higher learning for some, I'm sure. Not for me.
By higher learning, we mean learning while high. Anyway, 479.
that at Michigan State we were good at.
I'm sure some of you were. 479-5551 on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line. Men's basketball coach taught high school coaching at the University of Scranton, Bob Beswar.
There was a football class that Perlis taught at Michigan State. He was the coach when I was there, and I remember looking through the course book, and there was a football coaching, and Perlis was the professor.
Yeah, I can't imagine how many times. I'll give Bess credit. He showed up every time. He didn't mail it in. He didn't send any of his assistants and what have you. He took it pretty seriously.
Yeah, I'm guessing since all of Perlis's players were in that class, he was probably there quite a bit.
See, and I'm guessing he could have mailed it in and just sent anybody, and those guys were like, well, we kind of need this. We need the credits. It's like Matt Leinart. Remember
Ballroom dancing
year when he came back, ballroom dancing for one credit, I think.
Ballroom dancing.
Only class he took. That final
had eligibility.
Right. That final 2005 season at USC. Everybody making a big deal about Reggie Bush and his car. You do know the quarterback's taking ballroom dancing, right? That's it. To get his degree. He's here to play football.
Exactly.
Oh, yes. 3 hours a week or 2 hours a week, he's doing ballroom dancing.
It is fantastic that they can not go to class. I mean, student athlete.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Keep telling yourself that.
Yep.
Good luck with that one.
I did not ever know this. Speaking of Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush. So it came out in the last 2 days that when they were deciding to take Reggie's Heisman away from him, they approached Vince Young to say, hey, you finished second. Now, it was a distant second, but he finished second. And they're like, we're going to give you the Heisman. And Vince Young said, no. Think about that now. How many of us would have said no? They're offering to give you the Heisman Trophy. It's the Heisman Trophy. It's still kind of a big deal. And this was 15 years ago when it was a bigger deal.
Yeah, I know, but he didn't win it.
But he would have if Reggie Bush wasn't eligible.
Maybe Matt Leinart would have won it. Team was still pretty good.
Oh, I know.
So
I lost late to Texas. I know. But Vince finished second. Now, great. But at your point being, though, if Reggie's not on the ballot, votes could have gone differently. But I give Vince Young a lot of credit for that. And they approached him and they said, hey, you finished second. We're going to – I mean, Mark, think about it. In the Olympics, somebody finishes ahead of you. You fail a drug test, that you get moved up. And move out of the way, you move up. And nobody ever goes, nah, man, I finished fourth. I mean, that
I think
beat me.
Those are such different things. A random drug test for PEDs in a sport where seconds decide medals or tenths of seconds or hundredths of seconds. I think an award where somebody got cash in a sport where we think a lot of people were getting cash. I think Vince might have been going, yep, I take this. They might start digging into the money I got while I was at Texas.
Well, especially since Chris Sims, who was at Texas before Vince Young, talked about going through the parking lots after the game for the $100 handshakes.
Yeah, and
it's not like Chris's family needed the money either. Phil did okay, and Phil did okay in the broadcast booth too. So.
We got this tweet, David, from Derek. He says, what is to blame? Am I missing something? Yes, it ended up becoming a big story, but not absurd reactions based on other recent events. It was investigated and results shared. Well, Derek, your statement is pretty much on par with exactly what we're saying. If they would have put the picture out on Tuesday, the ball was dropped. There is no two ways about it. They left Bubba Wallace out to dry.
Well, they made their sport look bad, too. I mean, come on now. Hey, we said this on Monday. I know I did. I said, Mark, I'm shocked that NASCAR released this. I am shocked they didn't keep it in-house. I am absolutely convinced, and I said, I am absolutely convinced 3 months ago they would have kept this in-house. No doubt in my mind. They might have brought the FBI in, investigated it, and the whole deal, but no doubt in my mind. I mean, anybody who follows NASCAR knows. I mean, that sport doesn't give out information. They don't. We don't know what the drivers make, by the way. You try finding out how much these drivers make. Good luck. I'm sorry, people have been covering this sport for 30 years, cannot find out what the drivers make. This sport hides information. They're proud of it.
Well, and that's why, even we were trying to figure out revenue for NASCAR maybe 2-3 weeks ago, just trying to compare where hockey was. Who was it that got in a little bit of heat for Max Kellerman for saying hockey's not a major sport anymore, something along those lines. Yes. And so we started looking at the revenue, and it's a distant fourth. But revenue-wise, it's way ahead of the PGA. And when you start trying to find NASCAR numbers, because every team's its own entity. So it's really hard to put a ballpark value on what that sport brings in. But NASCAR doesn't bring in nearly the money that the entire sport does, if you will.
And so we were shocked, and I was stunned, absolutely, which is another reason why. And I'm telling you, if you're down on the media for the way they reacted to this story, that's fine. And goodness knows the media has brought a lot onto themselves, and they do it every day. I wish that we could start over. I really do. The media now is not the media that I entered in the mid-'80s. It's not. All right. And I wish we could start over. I really do. We're doing it wrong, in my opinion. We are. But with that said, if you've covered NASCAR at all over the years, I'm telling you, it's another reason why the Marty Smiths and the Ryan McGees, who have been a part of this sport for 20 plus years, why they reacted the way they did. If NASCAR is releasing the statement that they released at 10:30 Sunday night, I'm telling you, if you're part of the NASCAR media, you went holy blank, and not just because of the story. You went holy blank because NASCAR released it. Because you know damn well 90 days earlier, they are burying this sucker. They're doing their own investigation. They're threatening everybody in the garage. Somebody says a word, we will find out, and we will get you out of this sport. This is a big story, and we're going to handle it. We're going to get to the bottom of this. And nobody would have said a word. And there would have been a lot of pressure on Richard Petty Racing and Bubba Wallace to keep it together. But I'm telling you, I bet my job 3 months ago, NASCAR would not have released a statement, and they would have kept this in-house.
Miller and Moulton. Check us out at millerandmoulton.com. You can listen to us there.
Damn.
Thanks for listening.
Looks good.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, it's me 50 pounds ago, but the site looks good.
Yeah, but it was a good angle, so it only looks like 35 pounds. Miller and Moulton. Fox Sports Radio, where we stream at millerandmoulton.com.
This is The Herd with Colin Cowherd.
I never thought Drew Brees was
my good side.
I think he's human.
Right.
Drew Brees, within a couple hours of being tone deaf, decided, I got to get it right.
My father had had kind of a nice little ridge in the middle of his nose, and he always used to go, hey, hey, and he'd kind of turn. It didn't matter what side he turned to. I mean, his honker was not a good-looking honker from the side, and he would always be like, hey, 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 get my good side.
Attention, Southwest Florida.
His nose looked like an intermediate slalom.
Are you ready for this? Only Naples Nissan will give you $8,000 over Kelley Blue Book value for your trade. Hundreds of new SUV models to choose from, all backed by our exclusive unlimited mile lifetime warranty.
Well, that's
Pick out
Excited
your
about
favorite
MillerandMoulton.com.
NaplesNissan.com. Then come see us on Pine Ridge
Now,
Road.
John told me that I can just write something, send it to him, and he can post it.
Yep.
We'll give you $8,000 more so you can drive that brand new Nissan home today.
All right.
If KBB says it's worth $5,000, Naples Nissan will give you $13. If KBB says 10, we'll give you 18. You must act fast though. Visit NaplesNissan.com for full details. Offer on select models with approved credit and cannot be combined.
Cathedral Roofing Innovations. Now, Hurricane Irma was a long time ago, but believe it or not, well, problems with tile roofs, they continue to occur as a result. Now, many homeowners are just now feeling the effects of the hidden damage that occurred to their tile roof. Now, whether it's new leaks, cracked, unsecured tiles, these roofs are living on borrowed time. Now, tile roofs, by nature of their design, are susceptible to lift in powerful storms like hurricanes. When this occurs, your tile underlayment can be compromised, but you would not realize it until possibly years later. Now, with Cathedral Roofing Innovations, you get a great roofing company to inspect your roof for any damage, and just because you don't have leaks doesn't mean you don't have issues. Just go to Cathedral Roofing Naples.
So we are having an insurance
they are
nightmare.
The tile experts in Naples, and they will start
They're
the
rejecting
process
everything.
right
I was
away.
supposed
Go
to get my scans today. They won't pay for them.
CathedralRoofingNaples.com.
These are kind of important. This determines whether or not I need cancer treatment or not.
Right.
Check out MillerandMoulton.com and subscribe to the daily podcast.
And the funny thing is that in theory, this today was to save them money.
Right.
Because if the scans are clean, I don't need 6 to 12 months of cancer treatments, which are far more expensive than the PET scan that they wanted me to have today. But outside of the surgery, Mark, outside of the surgery itself, they have said no to every procedure, every scan leading up to the surgery, and they have not been willing to pay for anything after it. And they called us Wednesday night and said that we are dropping you at the end of the year. So we have to go find new insurance.
They can legally do that?
Yep. Yep. Yes, they can. And the Trumpster last night made sure to file another thing with the Supreme Court trying to take away not just the ACA, but he's also trying to take away and allow for insurance companies to deny you having insurance for pre-existing conditions. A lot of people with pre-existing conditions, and now I've got one. So, so it's been a fun couple days, I'll tell you that. It is exhausting fighting the insurance companies. It is exhausting. And it's unnerving because it's expensive.
Yeah.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
"25 minutes past the hour, nearly halfway home on this final Friday of June. What's today, the 26th?
Yes, it is.
Or as we like to say, it's March 118th.
Not today. Today is June the 26th, period.
Really?
Yes, today is my wife's birthday.
Ah.
That's why
how
I'm not
about that?
that's why I'm not fishing today and why I came home last night.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. You got everything taken care of?
Of course.
Well, she's working today, right?
She's on her way to work, which means there's a good chance she's listening. So of course I have everything done. As those of you on Twitch should be understanding exactly what I'm telling you.
Well, you got time.
I've got plenty. Todd, Jason, I'll see you around 10.
You got about 10 hours to get your act together. Well, it's the best way to shop. Actually, men don't shop, men buy. All right. That's, we try to fix things also. My wife and I have these ongoing discussions in which she'll be talking and I'll offer up a solution. And she'll look at me and go, I don't want you to fix anything.
Boy, are you on to something?
You to listen.
Are you on to something? Because my wife at work she's a veterinarian, and it has been, through the coronavirus, it's been tough. They were not taking the owners. They were taking the animals from the vehicle, having to call people on cell phones. There's anxiety. She has been stressed out. Work has been difficult. And so she comes home and vents. And every once in a while, when it's the same vent, you and I go, why are you telling me? Just do this, this, and this.
Right.
And they look at you like, hey, you're not supposed to be talking here. And you certainly are not supposed to be raising your voice telling me what to do. Because we've heard this and we've come up with theories to fix said problem. And they don't use any of the theories.
No, they don't want to hear the theories.
They don't want the theory.
No, they will fix it in due time. Okay. They're just talking. They want us to listen.
Right.
We're fixers by nature. Men, we all act like we're handymen, even though most of us are not. Let's face it, we can't fix a damn thing. We hire those that can to come over and fix things.
At least in Miller and Moulton's case.
Right.
To those of you that can fix things, good for you.
Yeah, great. Give us your number. Because we need you. Thank goodness you can fix things. Okay, and you probably have a better chance of fixing whatever it is that each of our wives are complaining about than us, goodness knows. So, yes, that is an ongoing discussion. Mark, what is it that you have heard constantly? It's not what you say, it's how you say it. If I were to have a marital slogan for the last 5 years that was on a T-shirt, it would be, I don't want you to fix it, just listen.
As Art says in our Twitch chat room, ladies, you need to tell us up front. Just listen.
Yes.
If you open with,
yes,
can you just listen? I don't need any solutions. Just fine.
And that's where we are now. Our communication's never been better. My wife will start talking. I'll look at her. She goes, I just want you to listen. Ha! Fantastic. Then what has to be determined? Do I have to make eye contact with you the entire time I'm listening? Can I ruffle through my phone? All right. Can I be switching channels? All right. Or is this, no, I got to be all in. So that's all. That's a very different, communication level there. I want to fix this. I don't want you to fix it. I just want you to listen. Oh, well, okay.
Perfect.
Now, how closely do I have to listen?
Now, there's the key part, because they may have an idea to fix it. They want to run past you.
No, they just want you to pay attention.
Right.
Can you give me a few minutes? Just this is important to me.
A lot of nods, a lot of okays.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right. And then at the end, if they ask you a question, that's when you go, hold on a second.
What do you think?
Answer. Am I allowed to give my opinion?
Well, what you do is go, well, I've got an idea, but what do you think?
Oh, look at you. Look at you. That's a veteran move right there.
But the key comes right at the beginning. And this is where I screw up. This is where I am very terrible. If up front she does not say, I just need you to listen, I fall into what David's problem is. I begin trying to solve problems.
Right. You're Tim Allen in the both sitcoms, right? You're buying things, fixing things, absolutely.
A couple of grunts, one of those, and we're good.
Right. I just want you to listen. Okay. Now, that's great. Thank you for that tip, by the way. I needed it. Now, I just need one more bit of advice.
How much?
How closely do I have to listen? All right.
Could we take this in percentages? Do I need 50, 75?
Eye contact. That's the thing. Do I have to make eye contact with you?
Well, you always have to make eye contact, because if you're not making eye contact, you're not listening.
Right. Exactly. That's why I need to know. All right. Because come on, Mark, there's listening, and then there's like Weekend at Bernie's cutout listening.
Yes.
And come on now, we do that from time to time.
Oh, that's reserved mostly for my mom when she's drinking wine. Just a lot of nodding and
Right. 479-5551, 479-5551. I have a feeling we'll get a few texts from people going, yeah, I'm a fixer. That's right. I want to cut to the chase. I've heard this now for 3 nights. I want to just get right to it. Let's take care of this. I got a better read on this than you do. I just want to fix this. And no, haven't been hired to be the fixer. Nope. Mm-mm. Just have to accept our roles sometimes.
Absolutely.
Have to accept our roles. 479-5551, the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line. Did you see? Oh, did we just get one of those?
Well, Johnny just says you're in trouble when they stop and ask, what did I say? I always mess up.
Wife did that yesterday. Came around the corner and said, are you listening? And I went, yeah. And then she doubled down. What did I say? Now, I was able to pull some words out and put them in the proper order together. So I heard you say the words, but I don't really know what you meant. Which is another thing. So how closely do we have to pay attention?
That, our poll question is right in the midst of what sports talk radio's into right now. I could scrap that sucker right now and come up with a varying degrees of listening. Now,
That'd be great. That'd be great. Think about it between now and the end of the show. We'll put that up for the weekend.
There you go. There you go.
All right. When your wife or significant other is talking to you, okay, and then, the three options that you have.
What do you get in most trouble for? Not listening, trying to fix her problems.
Right.
That's, wow. I think that just hit home for the two of us. I mean, that almost made the two of us silent right there because, I know.
It's not just the two of us. C would be fake listening, and they catch you.
Fake listening and getting caught is the worst.
It is. It gets so mad.
Because you've got nothing.
So mad. All right. I will say, though, now, this is the big clue that I've gotten. I don't know if this works with you, Mark, and with others that are listening. But here's what my wife does. She'll look at me and she'll go, can you mute the TV? See, that's her way of signaling you need to listen to me and you need to pay attention.
Don't care that you're watching a baseball game.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
Right. Does not matter. And that the TV, it flashes, something happens, or a new person comes on the screen or what have you. So you catch the flash and you see a different color and then you glance over quickly. Boy, you better get right back to, the focus. You need to leave that. We've muted the TV. The focus needs to be the wife and the significant other. So that's important. Did you catch what the PGA Tour commissioner said a couple days ago? And the phrase that he used when a couple of golfers tested positive for the coronavirus.
I did not, David.
He said, because the media was going, what are you going to do about this? You going to play? And he said very simply, very matter-of-factly, yeah, we're going to just have to learn how to play through this. And there were quite a few people who were stunned by that quote. And of course, and I know you were fishing, but if you had seen it when I saw it, all right, you and I would have been like, we've only been talking about this for 3.5 months. I mean, like, you don't think when the PGA Tour was planning to come back that somebody in the room didn't go, you do know we're going to get a couple tournaments in and people are going to start testing positive. Because what does the PGA Tour not have? On the course, they've created as much of a bubble as they can. There's like virtually no media on site. Heck, they've literally told CBS you can only have 30 people. 30. Well, you got 18 holes.
Yeah, they don't cover every hole, though.
Well, they do for that golf pass thing.
You're right. Now with the PGA Live, you're right. They're doing featured groups from start to finish. You're right.
Start to finish. I mean, and they literally said to CBS, you got 30 people. Okay, a lot more drones, a lot more stationary cameras in which, they're working the Zoom from afar and what have you. I mean, it's hard, right? But they're limiting, obviously, the number of people that are on the course. And, okay, but they are not saying to the golfers and the caddies, when you leave the course, you must go here, you must stay here. We will determine if there will be any visitors, what it is you're allowed to do, which is what the NBA is going to try to do, Mark. And PGA Tour is now, and granted, it's very different. Team sports, a union, PGA Tour, a bunch of independent contractors. Don't have a union. I don't know if the tour could get away with it, quite frankly, if they tried to do something
first
that
off,
the NBA is trying to do.
First off, the PGA players, I don't know if they'd want a union.
Well, they definitely wouldn't, but you know what I mean.
Right.
If the commissioner of the PGA Tour 2 months ago had said to the players, listen, this is unique and this is very unlike us, but we're going to need to control you guys on and off the course. I think the players would have looked at him and said, that ain't going to happen. I don't know what to tell you. It's just not going to happen. You want to control everything on the course from the moment we pull into the parking lot, that's fine. You are not determining where it is we go and what it is we do and with whom we do it when we leave the course. I don't know what to tell you. We're not going to agree to that. That's my belief. And Mark, you know more golfers than I do, but I don't believe that the golfers would agree to that.
I don't either. I'm actually stunned of the constraints they've put on CBS for this reason and this reason only. It's the only way to get your sport out to the masses right now. Why wouldn't you want the best coverage humanly possible? And from a social distancing standpoint, is there anything more distant than being in a TV tower with a camera?
Right? Oh,
I mean,
know.
you cannot be more distant than where these cameramen are.
I know.
They're solo. They're by themselves.
Uh-huh.
And from an announcing standpoint, you don't need any announcers on site. I get that. That's fine.
To give you, and I don't think I'm giving away any state secrets here because I think it's been reported, but for an example, now think of the difference, by the way, that CBS, who has televising the first few tournaments, so that's why we're saying CBS. We know that NBC and, Fox does a few tournaments, but we know NBC does golf also. But right now, we're in the heart of CBS televising golf. They're going to have all these tournaments here. I think NBC might have a handful of tournaments left for the whole year. I mean, that's it. I mean, think about it. The Ryder Cup and the British Open have been canceled. I mean, that's their two big events that they've lost this year. I mean, this is an awful year for NBC from a golf standpoint.
Oh,
just
yeah.
Awful. Just awful. But back to CBS. This is what I was told, is that there are the Travelers. They're in Connecticut this week. Everybody from that crew had to be in Connecticut a week early. So there was nobody who's working the Travelers who was in Myrtle Beach at the Heritage. Nobody. Completely different crew. On site.
Right.
Now, I think the producer and the director are going to be the same. I'm pretty sure Steve Moulton and they're just going to go from tournament to tournament. Everybody else, though, they had to be there a week early. They had to get tested. Tracing the whole deal. I mean, so think about now. That's what they did with the crew. They're not doing that with the golfers, obviously.
No.
I mean, it's not like you play 1 week, you take the next week off, we test you. Okay, then you play the following week. I mean, if Brooks Koepka wants to play 5 tournaments in a row, he can play 5 tournaments in a row.
Again, they're independent contractors.
Right. But the commissioner just said very matter-of-factly, he was not being arrogant at all. He was not being boastful at all. He was not making a political statement at all. He was simply saying, well, what are you guys going to do? Well, we're going to play through this. That's we committed to playing. We anticipated this would happen. If somebody tests positive, they have to alert us right away. We take them out of the equation. We try as best we can to figure out who it is they've been playing with, let them know, get them tested, like Graham McDowell. Graham McDowell came across somebody who has tested positive. He, so far, has tested negative. He withdrew from the Travelers. He didn't have to. He's tested negative. But he said, I just, I don't feel comfortable. I've been around a few people and, I don't know. I could be negative one day. I could be positive 3 days later. I don't want to jeopardize anybody. And so Graham said, I think he was driving to, Carolina, to Florida. He's going somewhere. And he said, and I'm going to drive. I'm not going to fly. I'm going to drive. It's going to take a couple days. He said, I'm going to see the scenic route. I'm going to learn more about America than I've known before. And it Koepka, he's negative. His girlfriend's negative. Okay, but his caddy tested positive. And so he's like, well, I'm going to play it safe. Going to take myself out of circulation this week. And now in Brooks Koepka's case, he's got a lot of money. He's got standing, that, and the other thing. But for other guys, they're trying to earn a living.
And they're trying to keep cards.
Yes.
I mean, it is the one sport where you have to qualify at a certain area to continue playing on the tour that you're on. The only sport we relegate you in is the PGA Tour.
You got that right. And tennis to some degree, because if your ranking's not at a certain level, then you get reduced to lower series events. But
but you're right. I mean, even NASCAR, you can lose your ride, but if you finish in the bottom third, they don't send you to the Xfinity Series.
No, it's sponsors determine your viability, not where you finish in the standings.
Right. I mean, so the PGA Tour, if you don't make the top 125, you're on the Korn Ferry Tour. If you're between 126 and 170, you got to go to and guys can move up. Yep. So they don't want to miss events. Talk about a pace difference. Go look at what the guy that finishes 38th in the Korn Ferry Tour makes.
Please. Okay. Just have a guy that finishes 6th. But I thought it was a remarkable quote that, and I think it got a little bit lost with what was going on with NASCAR. That was using all the oxygen that was in the sports world and what have you. But, what got the headlines was a couple of PGA Tour players testing and or people associated with the tour, like a caddy, testing positive. That got the headlines, and then 5 golfers withdrawing. But what didn't get the headline, which to me, for those of us that, whatever your view is, but for those that are wondering, are we going to have basketball? Are we going to have hockey? Are we going to have baseball? Are we going to have football? I know they're planning on it, but are we really going to have it? It would be fascinating, because I don't think every commissioner is going to have the attitude, Mark, of the PGA Tour commissioner. I don't. Like, do you think Adam Silver, if there's a breakout, is going to have the attitude of the PGA Tour commissioner, which is, hey, we just got to play through this?
I don't at all, David, because of what you mentioned at the very beginning of all of this. What does the NBA, MLB, the NFL, and the NHL all have? Players' unions.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting, I'm guessing they've got to be having these conversations, but it's essentially, okay, so what's your tolerance level for coronavirus tests and positive tests? Now granted, golf's got the luxury. They've got 150 golfers essentially in the field every week. And if 8 guys withdraw, they're not going to have a
They're
problem
lined up to take those spots.
But where clearly in team sports, you got a lot less people, and to lose 3 or 4 of them is a much bigger deal. Even if you lose the Koepkas of the world. Right now, the PGA Tour is pretty lucky. All the top players are playing outside of Tiger. And if Koepka and a couple of others withdraw, well, instead of having 8 of the top 10 players in the world, they'll have 6. It's still a damn good field. But I thought it was a very interesting quote that did not get enough play. It very simply, not boasting, not angrily, no political statement, but just, hey, what are we going to do? We're going to play through this. We kind of anticipated this is going to happen. We're a part of society. It's happening in society. It's going to happen to us. I don't know what to tell you.
One of the first rational answers on the coronavirus from a commissioner we've actually had. That's not just
But do you think that a college conference commissioner will have that attitude?
I don't think they can.
Do you think Adam Silver, Gary Bettman?
I think Bettman might.
Manfred?
I actually think Bettman might.
Yeah, I do too.
Because when Austin Matthews got it, one of the stars of the game, Bettman was just like, yeah, I don't, we're still starting on July 30th or whatever it is. I don't know what to tell you. I actually think the NHL will.
Miller and Moulton. 14 minutes before the top of the hour. Today was the day when. Next on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Drive home with the Doug Gottlieb Show.
Drew Brees took about as middle a stance as you can possibly take. We want freedom of speech, except when somebody disagrees with our perspective. I mean, it's the most embarrassing, hypocritical thing that we do as American people. So we do it, and the cycle continues. And here we are.
Doug Gottlieb, afternoons at 3 on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
You should be driving a Kia from Galliana, Galliana Kia.
Trade in and trade up. Over $500,000 in trade-in assistance up for grabs at Galliana Kia in Fort Myers. 2020 Kia Forte LXS lease, 0 down, $159 per month. 2020 Kia Sorento LX lease, 0 down, $259 per month. Plus at Galliana Kia in Fort Myers, you can drive interest-free up to 72 months and worry-free for 100,000 miles. Worried about your credit? Don't sweat it. If you've got $500 down and you make at least $500 per week, our lenders can get you approved. At Galliana Kia, 1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort Myers. Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com.
You should be driving a Kia from Galliana, Galliana Kia.
36-month lease is 10,000 miles per year, 0 to exciting plus tax, title, dealer, and acquisition fee, 0 security deposit, $13.88 per month per thousand borrowed, 72 months, 0 APR with 0 down, lender approval.
Cathedral Roofing Innovations. Now, Hurricane Irma was a long time ago, but believe it or not, problems with tile roofs, they continue to occur as a result. Now, many homeowners are just now feeling the effects.
Remember I told you during all this that we're also going to have to replace the AC unit?
Yes.
So last night, it's been hot the last couple days, and the AC units, I'm trying to keep it 78 in the house, and it's not quite getting the job done. It's keeping it about 80, 81. So I said, you know what, how about if I just bump it down a degree, and then maybe this thing will, work a little harder. So I bumped it down from 78 to 77. Well, all night long, apparently, because it's on auto, once it gets 77 degrees,
right,
it's supposed to turn itself off. And I thought I kept hearing the air on all night, and I'm laying in bed, and I'm like, it feels a little chilly in here. Yeah, I woke up this morning, it was 73.
Nice. So it went the other way.
Yeah, the air, it just stayed on all night, and it just kept going lower, lower, and lower. So just had to turn the air off for about 3 hours. It's back up to 79 in here. Now we turn the air back on. Let's see how it works today.
Wow. That is pretty warm.
No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300
Yeah, and my wife's cold.
Yeah, I tell my wife I don't. That's the one thing I. Actually, she's pretty good. We keep ours at 74. And then this one I do 75 at night for Maddie, and then 77 during the day, but 73 for our show.
Well, you're a sweater. You run hot.
I run hot. So funny talking to Jacob yesterday. He's like, he goes, I don't know. He goes, I was telling him about the masks everywhere. He goes, man, he goes, if Michael tries to tell us to wear masks at work, I'm not doing it. He goes, unless he wants to air condition this thing. He's, Dad, I'm like you. It's 100 degrees in here working in this warehouse. He goes, I can't.
Hundreds of new SUV models to choose from.
Bob says it sounds like a thermostat issue, David.
Yeah, it's not.
Well, there you go, Bob. You know we're in the Kobe Cooling Studios. Maybe Kobe could come out.
That is true.
Hey, I was going to hire my buddy's company. I told John, I said, maybe I'll hire Kobe. If they're the studio sponsor, they should at least come service my crap for me. I'm not getting paid for them servicing this thing.
Naples Nissan will give you 13. If KBB says 10, we'll give you 18. You must act fast, though. Visit NaplesNissan.com for full details. Offer on select models with approved credit and cannot be combined.
Here we go. Now back to Miller and Moulton. No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Ten minutes before the top of the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at millerandmoulton.com. Means you're going to have to learn how to spell my last name. Moulton.
You know how many times I do that now because my email address is mark@millerandmoulton.com? David has an email address, david@millerandmoulton.com. He's had it for almost 3 years. He's never used it.
Twice. Used it twice. Both times I'm like, wow, I got a bunch of emails here that I probably should have answered. Oh, boy.
Time now for...
Miller and Moulton's Today Was the Day When, giving you the history of today's date so you're a beacon of useless knowledge around the office.
Useless, but a lot of fun to talk about.
This is Today Was the Day When, Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Start today in 1944. In a unique game for war bonds, the Yankees, Dodgers, and Giants, obviously all in New York, play a 6-inning game, each playing successive innings. The final score, Dodgers 5, Yankees 1, Giants 0. Right.
All for war bonds.
Yep. And on today, June 26th, we're not playing baseball.
Right. First time ever, history of the sport, 152 years. First time it's summer, and we're not playing.
1945, the United Nations Charter was signed by 50 nations in San Francisco. 1959, Ingemar Johansson TKO's Floyd Patterson in 3 for the title. That same day in 1959, Queenie was over with Ike, and they opened the St. Lawrence Seaway. Just to let you know.
I'm sorry, who?
Queenie, Elizabeth. Lizzie.
That's how you refer to her.
Lizzie and Ike.
Queenie.
Lizzie and Ike.
Can you believe 61 years later she's still queen?
Right. That's the reason. It's the only reason it made this. It's incredible. Today in 1977, Elvis performed for the last time. It was in Indianapolis, Indiana. 1991, Grandmama Larry Johnson was the first pick by the Charlotte Hornets.
I loved Larry Johnson.
You know,
I did.
Yeah, how could you not?
I love the whole Grandmama thing. You know, he played on the UNLV teams. They were fun. He was a terrific player. You know, a bit of a tweener. I mean, bit of a tweener for the NBA. He was a 6'7" power forward.
Might have been a better player today.
Yes.
Might have been a better player today.
I agree.
Funny, I was watching Good Morning Football a couple months ago, and they went through which NBA player would make the best football player because of all LeBron comparisons and playing tight end. And one of them went Larry Johnson. And I'm like,
that's nice. That's solid.
Be a pretty good tight end right there.
That's solid right there.
Kirby Puckett became the Twins' top hit leader today, passing Rod Carew in 1994. 96, AI, your first pick by the Sixers. 2002, Yao Ming, the first pick by the Rockets. And it was today in 2003 that from St. Vincent St. Mary's High School, the Cleveland Cavaliers select LeBron James. 2015, Connor McDavid drafted by the Edmonton Oilers. I didn't even realize, because I didn't pay much attention to junior hockey then, you know, he played in the OHL, but he played in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Is that like when Gretzky for that short time played in Indianapolis?
No. The Ontario League now has a lot of American teams. Canadian junior hockey, there are teams in Pennsylvania, teams in Michigan, but it's just, you know, the best player since Crosby played his junior hockey in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Wow, we'd have season tickets.
Right, I mean, because, you know,
would have been all over that.
You know, both like Gretzky and Sidney, they played in the league over there.
Right.
You know, just different. If you were born today, you share your birthday with Mick Jones from The Clash. Chris Isaac, born today in 1956. Greg LeMond, born today in 1961.
Let me tell you something. There's a guy, Greg LeMond, should be held because he won the Tour de France 3 times.
Right.
He won the Tour de France after getting shot in a hunting accident and did it all clean.
As far as we know.
Well, he was, when Lance was, you know, winning those titles, Greg LeMond was going, I don't know that this is on the up and up, and he got a lot of grief for it.
Right. People said he was jealous.
Yes, because he was the greatest American cyclist until Lance Armstrong.
And he's never regained any acclaim after Lance
Right.
going down, which is strange, David.
And there are a lot of people in cycling who are trying to go back and basically, like in baseball, when did the steroid era start? There are a lot of people that think Le Mans the last clean champion.
Actor Chris O'Donnell turns 50 today. My wife and Derek Jeter are both 46 today.
I'll tell you, she shares her birthday. That's pretty good right there.
And she'd leave me for him right now.
Yes, she would. Yes, she would.
Right
In front of him.
now.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Michael Vick is 40 today.
Wow. That makes me feel old.
And that is, today was the day when, on this great day, June 26th.
Did you hear the funny thing that came out of South Florida? Apparently the Marlins, and this is not a joke, the Marlins are serious about trying to have fans at their game.
Yes. It was the Rangers, the Marlins, and one other team.
Which, of course, then leads to all sorts of jokes, because if any franchise should know how to social distance their fans,
it's the Rays and the Marlins, baby.
And the Rays, by the way, also want to have fans at their game.
I mean, they've both been practicing social distancing for years.
But it gives us a chance, although they're not going to play the Astros because they're only playing teams in the East.
I know.
Damn.
I know. We might have to go to a Ranger game, David.
Yes.
It's the only way we're going to make this happen.
May have to go to Dallas just to heckle the Astros.
Miller and Moulton, final hour coming up here on a Friday. Thanks so much for listening. Fox Sports Radio, where we stream it, millerandmoulton.com.
From Southwest Florida's news leader, this is a Wink News Update.
I'm Therese O'Shea with Wink News. Today is the last day you can get tested at NCH Baker Hospital in downtown Naples. Last week, more than 6,200 people were tested for COVID-19 at CenturyLink Sports Complex in Lee County. There are several places to get tested still in Southwest Florida. We have a full list on the Wink News app. Lee Health will host a briefing today on COVID-19 cases. Their beds are currently 78% full. Governor DeSantis says Florida is not ready to move on to the next phase of reopening as concern grows over rising cases. FGCU employees planning to return to campus Monday must let HR know if they've traveled outside Southwest Florida in the last month. It will also apply to all staff, faculty, and students. Trust Wink News, Southwest Florida's news leader.
It's Fred Kobe with your Kobe Cooling Tip of the Day. One of the biggest fears a homeowner has about their home is that the air conditioning system will need to be replaced. Well, folks, it's going to happen someday, so prepare yourself for that day. The good news is, Kobe Cooling has a 100% NATE certified team of mechanics that actually fix air conditioners. When you call for service, our unique team will find your issue and fix it. Your air conditioner will need to be replaced someday, but that doesn't have to be today. You can still get those giant firms with cheap service call prices and get a sales technician to sell you a new unit. Or you can hire a real NATE certified mechanic and we'll fix your system and help you plan for the next air conditioner purchase. Call 239-482-1542 for a real mechanic.
I can't believe you did. I thought for sure I'd get a little, this being the fungus being gone. You didn't even comment.
We're the company your neighbors use. License CACO 57313.
The sports station with balls and strikes. We also have strikes. WFSX AM from Naples to Cape Coral and all of Southwest Florida. We are Fox. Here's what's trending now. Brought to you by the Center for Men's Health. C4MH.com. There's only one way to wake up in the morning.
How the heck are you?
Yep, that's it. Miller.
You know what? I'll try to bring you back some fish.
And Moulton.
Okay, you can drop it off at the front door.
Probably in the mailbox. We'll pack ice.
Broadcasting live from the Kobe Cooling Remote Studios, where it's always cool and comfortable.
Oh, I like
It's up to you now. It's up to you.
I like
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
As we approach a couple minutes past 8 o'clock, final hour of Miller and Moulton on this final Friday of June. Hope you got some plans for the weekend. I know with the coronavirus numbers going back up that some of you may be reining it in a little bit, which is certainly understandable. And, as we're into summer, hopefully that everybody from a mental health standpoint, Mark, that being just, not feeling as if it's, boring and mundane and the same drudgery, that hopefully people are finding one or two things to do or people to be with or what have you to just kind of, get out from the doldrums.
And if given the opportunity, go fishing. That's a really good way to break, because 2 days away from the world was glorious.
No Twitter. No internet.
Nope.
All right.
Barely touched my phone.
Plenty of social distancing. So, yeah. Hey, I've always told you, take a week off from watching the news.
And it just does wonders.
So much better.
You really do. And I mean, I will say, John threw together the new open for the show. Going to bring you back some fish. So I went fishing. Fishing was great. We caught all kinds of fish. And this morning I said to David, because I literally have 30 pounds of fillets, mahi and mutton snapper, tons of them. I said, I can bring you over some fish today. No. Mr. Healthy over here trying to eat well. All I'm trying to do is provide the guy with some fresh fish.
And it was a very nice offer. It really was. And I should have taken
No.
up on it.
No.
But, I actually cooked. I'm cooking now. I mean, this is what a big deal this thing that I went through was. I'm now cooking. I mean, pots and pans, stoves, heat, spatulas, flipping things, adding spices to food while cooking. What the is going on here?
Good for
you.
you.
Like Lombardi on the sidelines in the late 60s. What the heck is going on here?
Good for you.
I'm frightened at one point. So is my wife. I'm in the kitchen. I mean, she's always convinced that one of us is going to burn the house down. Probably a better chance with me.
So while I was gone, Mom helped out with our daughter because Eve had to work, and she spent the night here Monday and took care of our daughter on Tuesday, and then took my wife out to dinner for her birthday on Tuesday, and they came back, and my wife had Wednesday off, so my mom, while she was here, started rearranging apparently, and then proceeded to tell my wife her new arrangements in the kitchen.
What?
That these towels are for this and these towels are for that. Now, if she would have said it in front of me, I would have looked at her and started laughing. I mean, I would have just made fun of her. But my wife just nodded along. Again, women not fixing, listening. Earlier in the show, we talked. My wife just listened, nodded. My mother left to go back to her place. My wife walked, grabbed the towels, threw them in the laundry room, and went back to doing things the way we do them around here.
Okay, see, and I thought your wife actually just had a really funny sense of humor. I thought your wife figured, well, I'll let his mom rearrange everything in his kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
To drive him nuts.
Well, what I'm waiting for today is Mom's coming back because I love to cook. My mom fries fish better than any human I know. So I want some fried fish tonight. And I'm going to have my mom do the fish fry.
All right.
So when she comes over tonight and starts cooking, she's going to say something.
Right.
And I am going to laugh so hard at her. Are you out of your mind?
You might want to let her be done with the fish fry first. I mean, at least get your favorite meal out of it.
I can laugh during, before, and after. I'm good at that. Come on, David. You and I both have our charm that way.
Mark, I didn't say you weren't good at it. I'm just saying that you may just want to hold off for a few minutes. That's all. 479-5551. 479-5551 is how you can chime in via the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line. My mom just sent me a text, said, "What? You're cooking?" I know.
For the record,
Almost
David's mother retired.
Right.
Retired from cooking when? 1970 what?
5. I was 9. We had a picnic table as a kitchen table. Not kidding. I mean, picnic table like you'd see outside, all right, in a park. We had a picnic table. All right. My mother took it, brought it in. We kind of, sanded it down, painted it. That was our kitchen table. We didn't have the money for a kitchen table. All right. So we had a picnic table. That was our kitchen table for a while. And yes, I remember we were in the 1-bedroom apartment at the time. I had the bedroom. My mother slept with a mattress and box spring on the floor in the living room for quite a few years, actually. And it had the little dining room area. And when I say little, I mean walk-in closets are bigger. And my mom just decided one day, I was 9, and she stood up and she said, "You know what? I've been thinking about this, and I'm done cooking. I don't like it. Not particularly good at it, except for a couple of things. And I may make those things from time to time when I feel like having it. But if it's okay with you," and she looked right at me, I'm 9. All right. And remember, she's not running a democracy here, as I have stated many times.
Right.
She's running at best a benevolent dictatorship. And she looks at me and says, "If it's okay with you, I'm done cooking." And so I kind of looked at her like, "Well, where's the food going to come from?" At which point she broke out a piece of paper and wrote the 7 days of the week on top of it and said, "What do you think? Mondays will go to Jack in the Box." And I was like, "Oh, in."
At 9 to be told you're going to get fast food 3-4 nights a week and then restaurant food a couple more?
Every day. And then at the bottom, she just said, "Well, you go to Grandma Moulton 1 weekend a month. Okay, and I'll make sure you get over to, her parents, at least 1 weekend a month. So 2 weekends a month, I'll get you fed. I'll get you 6 out of the 30 days a month. I'll get you 6 home cooked meals from your grandparents." I was like, my goodness, this is the best.
You're almost at 25% home cooked meals right now.
Right.
The rest fast food as a 9-year-old?
Okay, my mom claims I was 12. I was not 12, and here's why. You made the announcement in the 1-bedroom apartment in the kitchen. By 12, we were in the 2-bedroom apartment. So I was 9. I will stake everything, Mom, on that. 9.
Mom Moulton, I'd like to back you up on this, but the evidence seems pretty overwhelming against you right now. David's memory, pretty damn good. I always try to take your side, unless I can give you a hard time, and then you get mad at me. But that's just the way I am.
Now, I almost didn't make it to 9. My mom had a...
What did she make that almost killed you?
No. My mom had a long day at work. She had worked a couple of doubles in a row, and then she was very tired. And I was hungry. And my mom had a serious boyfriend for many a year. And so we're sitting around, and, the only thing we got in the house really is and neither one of us cooked. And the only thing we got in the house that we know of is cereal. And so my mom got up. Remember, she's sleeping on the floor in the living room. She got up and she had to use the bathroom. She woke up from her nap. We took the kitchen table and we barricaded the area so that she couldn't get back to her mattress and box spring. All right. When she walked out of the bathroom and she starts walking through the dining room, which is 4 steps, by the way. If you take 4 steps, you've walked through our dining room. But to the left of the dining room is the kitchen. And so we barricaded by using the picnic table, the area to get to the living room. And my mother just looked at us and we're like, listen, hey, it's time to eat. What are we doing for dinner? We got to do something. And my mother just flat out said, "I'm not cooking. I'm tired. You guys got to do it yourself." And so a playful fight ensued in which, for the heck of it, we poured milk and cereal on the floor, in the kitchen, and ate it off the linoleum. Okay, just to say, if you want it to be like this, okay, if you're saying this is how it's going to be, this is how it's going to be every night.
Ms. Moulton, I take back everything I just said. You were right. David was wrong. The fact that he's here doing the show with me makes me happy because I like working with him. But I think you might have made a mistake there.
She didn't kill us.
I literally think if you would have, there's not a jury on earth that would have found you guilty.
Not at all.
That's self-defense, self-preservation at that point.
Yeah, she was too tired to kill us. If she had any more energy, she would have. Now, she would have killed him first.
Well, there's no doubt.
I did outrank him. She was more fond of me than him. Okay, so at least she would have killed him first. But, yes. But I don't know if anybody's ever done that. Barricaded your mother
in a kitchen to make her cook. Everything she did to you was justified. Every single thing.
So, yes, Mom, 45 years later, I'm cooking. How about that?
Poll question today. Who do you blame most for the NASCAR noose misunderstanding/fiasco? NASCAR, the media, Bubba Wallace, or Talladega? Right now, NASCAR is leading with 45% of the vote. The media is second with 27% of the vote. Talladega next, a little under 17, and Bubba Wallace has 11+%.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I'm NASCAR and if whatever our final results end up being, if they end up being something along the lines of what you just said, if I'm NASCAR, I'd be fine with that. If you think about it, 1, put the blame on us. 2, we don't care if you blame the media or not. And 3, as long as Bubba comes out of this the best of all of us.
Right, 1 in 10 are saying Bubba.
Okay, and if I'm NASCAR, I'll take that.
Right.
I really will.
And, a lot of people have liked Derek's response as what is to blame. It ended up being a big story, not with absurd reactions based on other events. It was investigated and results shared. But the results were not shared in a timely fashion.
No.
That is where our problem is with this. Our problem is not with anything more than how NASCAR decided to release the results. Because the FBI comes out late Tuesday and says that no noose, misunderstanding, no intent, no malice. It's a rope. We get it. It looked like a noose, but there was no malice. No one planted it here. It was already here.
Right.
Well, then Bubba Wallace does Don Lemon's show that night, does 2 morning shows, and he said, I don't know what to tell you. It's a noose. At that point, the only photo we had was some photos that were leaked out Sunday night. And
from the fall, in which the noose is much smaller.
It looks like a tiny little rope. And now the picture that we're seeing at the moment, the knot's bigger.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes.
It's a pretty good sized knot. And from the only time I've really seen nooses is on television shows. And it doesn't look any David, here, does that look any different than when you've watched some show and they've had a noose over the course of your lifetime, you've seen something on television? I don't know how much different that looks than anything I've ever seen. From an old Western where they were hanging people at Center Square.
Well, doesn't it look like, I'm guessing they still do this. Remember we used to see on ABC's Wide World of Sports in which they'd come out and they'd do the, they'd throw the rope and they'd tie up the calves, right?
The lasso on a cat. That's just no. It doesn't look at all like that to me because that's a much smaller knot.
Okay. And so now, does it look like a noose? Does the end not look like a noose? I think you can reasonably conclude it does. Now, it's part of a rope that goes up into the ceiling that is used to open up the garage door, though. So that part of it obviously is like, well, this doesn't make any sense. Why would anybody make a noose out of the rope that you're using to open the garage door? I mean, in theory, it's like what unfortunately took place in Sonoma, California at the racetrack, in which somebody on, I believe it was Monday or Tuesday, hung a noose, and they hung it outside from a tree, okay, to make their vile statement. Okay, so, but if NASCAR, when the FBI came to the conclusion that they came to, if they had just literally attached the picture to it, then people would have looked at it and said, oh, now we can kind of figure out what happened there. Plus, I think NASCAR needed to reiterate what people who follow it closely knew, but the masses did not. Bubba didn't find the rope. It was a member of his racing team that found it, that alerted NASCAR to it. And NASCAR came to the conclusion it was a noose. And then they showed and told Bubba about it. And I think that, we never would have heard of Jesse Smollett. There never would have been. And plus, if they had released the picture, I mean, if you're the media and you've gotten it wrong, Dewey defeats Truman, you got it wrong. Well, it would be nice if you could help explain to us, well, guys, how did you get it wrong? Now, you can say we overreacted and this, that, and the other thing, but you did send out a release saying that somebody hung a noose in his garage. So we kind of assumed the worst along with you. Could you explain to us, could you show us how you got it wrong? Well, here's the picture. We looked at this, we saw a noose.
Well, and when the president of NASCAR, Phelps, put out his statement, he does say in here, you mentioned earlier, 29 tracks, 1,684 garage stalls. We found 11 that had a pull-down rope typed into a knot, and only one noose, the one discovered Sunday in Bubba Wallace's garage. He went on to say, we further determined the noose was not in place when the October 2019 race weekend began, but created at some point that weekend. Given the timing and the garage access policies and procedures at the time, we were unfortunately unable to determine with any certainty who tied this rope in this manner or why it was done. So when they inspected the garage in October, that wasn't there.
But by the race in November, the knot had loosened and it was beginning to become a bit of an oval. And then by the time Bubba and his team in June get to the racetrack and they pull in and they pull on the rope and they look at it and they go, what the heck is this? Now they got it wrong. I mean, the FBI said, hey, it's embarrassing. I don't know what to tell you, but you jump to a conclusion. It's just the evidence doesn't back it up.
And Phelps said, at the end, to be clear, we would do this again. On the evidence that we had, it was clear that we needed to look into this. I think that's a fair statement.
I mean, we got it wrong, but you know what? If we had to do it again, we'd get it wrong again. It's embarrassing. You take as many shots at us as you want, all right? But believe it or not, we'd do it again, which is another reason why you and I would have been saying to him, could you release the photo, dude?
And that's,
could you at least show people why it is that you made the mistake? Because you'll have a decent number of people that will look at the photo and go, well, I could see why you came to that conclusion.
Well, David, I wanted to, because someone told me I don't know what a noose looks like. I Googled nooses, images. I had one on one webpage. I had the one in Bubba's garage stall on the other. David, they're the same damn thing. Exactly. To a T. Don't confuse it. And when Bubba goes on these shows and says, I don't know what to tell you, it was a noose. Well, right. Sure as hell looks like it to me.
And because the photo was not out when Bubba went on Don Lemon on, I think it was Tuesday night, and then he went on the Today Show and Good Morning America Wednesday morning, and he's going, folks, I don't know what to tell you. It's a noose. You could see where the folks are sitting back going, the FBI, which they didn't say, by the way. The FBI did not say it wasn't, the knot was not noose-like, but you know what we're all thinking. I mean, when the FBI goes, hey, there was no hate crime here, well, then you could see where people are going, well, then there wasn't a noose. But notice, Mark, as you pointed out, reread what the president of NASCAR said. Talks about 1,600 garages, 11 of them that have ropes that open the garage doors. And he says, quote, and only one with a noose. I mean, he describes it as a noose. And he said, if I walk in a garage and see a knot tied like that again, I'm going to call it a noose. I don't know what to tell you, whether it's in Kevin Harvick's pit or Bubba Wallace's garage, whichever. To me, that looks like a noose. But they needed to explain that or just release the photo, which could have done a lot of explaining for you and not make you look so bad. But if I'm NASCAR, I'm trying to protect Bubba here. I got a little bit invested in this guy now. Some people are paying attention to us because of the last 2-3 weeks who weren't paying attention to us before. A lot of people are paying closer attention to us now who weren't paying that close attention before. You know, I need to have him be as non-damaged coming out of this as possible. And since I'm the one that created it, you and I would have been urging the president of NASCAR, hey, if you're going to fall on the sword, fall on the sword. Cannonball into the pool, dude. Don't wait over 24 hours. I mean, by the time he released the photo yesterday, I went, because I don't know about you. I saw the picture yesterday and thought to myself, well, I don't think Will Kane and Clay Travis and Jason Whitlock and a few others are going to change their tune. But I got to admit, they probably would not have come down as harshly if this photo got released 2 days ago.
Yep. No doubt. No doubt. When the president of NASCAR says, I don't know, he said it was a noose.
Right.
So
And
we
he said
can't
we'd
get
do
on
it
Bubba
again.
for going on shows saying it was a noose when the president agreed with them. And as David's point early in the show, as David is someone who has loosely covered NASCAR in his TV career, NASCAR media is not given a lot of info. NASCAR controls everything. There is WWE as there is in a sport out there from how they control the narrative.
I mean, if we wanted to have a poll question, a media behind the curtain poll question, which league/tour is more controlling of their information, the PGA Tour or NASCAR? I mean, honestly, there's very few people who cover golf, okay, if the PGA Tour releases something, virtually no one questions it. Now, they may want more information, but they don't question the validity of the information. Now, that's not how we operate in the other sports. We question what the NFL says and what Major League Baseball says all the time. We do. In the media, we call them liars. But you don't of the PGA Tour and NASCAR. I mean, you just don't. Now, Mark and I have argued, and me louder than Mark, that I really wish, I think all leagues should be critically covered. I really do. I think it's in the best interest of the league. It's more interesting, quite frankly. Lapdog media is boring. All right, a critical media, and they can be wrong, but a critical media is more interesting. You get more out of it as a fan. I mean, if the media agrees with everything your general manager's saying, well, what do you need the media for? You could just go through DallasCowboys.com then. What do you need Ed Werder for?
By the way, it's a different thing, but just to give you an example, because this is a PGA one, we're more golf fans here than we are NASCAR fans. I think that's safe to say. Guys, remember Dustin Johnson taking a leave of absence from the tour?
6 months. Right.
Did anybody believe for a second that it was a leave of absence?
Right.
Because the fact of the matter is that Dustin Johnson apparently really enjoyed Peruvian marching powder.
Right.
And I'm pretty confident that I'm saying that without a doubt of, there's no doubts in my mind about that. I damn near know it for fact. And I'm looking at an article from 2015 that says Dustin denies cocaine use. The tour denied cocaine use. He just said he drank too much.
Right. Okay.
The reason he was able to drink so much is because he was doing enough cocaine that he could stay up long enough to drink so much. But the tour never said that. Dustin never said that. And you never heard it from anybody because they control the narrative.
Meanwhile, if he played a quote-unquote stick and ball sport, you think the media would have gotten to the bottom of it?
Yep.
You think we would have known every nook and cranny as to what was going on? Miller and Moulton. Mark, in fact, when we come back, there's a high-profile athlete who disclosed a couple of things while you were away fishing.
Don't get me started. I'm ready for this one. I'm ready.
Okay. I'm glad you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about. Fraud.
25 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us.
Teeing them up when we come back.
Boy, are we ever shooting fish in a barrel here on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
The boys of NASCAR are back
On the way out fishing Wednesday, I think I saw that. And we had a good 20-minute discussion on the boat with 4 guys about being addicted to porn. That you can't do on air, but my goodness, we were laughing so hard. We classified it addicted to porn as, have you ever used your credit card to buy a subscription?
Got to admit, though, you don't hear a lot of athletes just casually acknowledge that.
Yeah, but he also now has done a whole 180. He's Mr. Christian, and that's just a convenient way of... I mean, come on. He raped a broad. All right? Don't give me this addicted to porn crap. Sorry. He's a fraud.
Great news, Southwest Florida. Below
Second best quarterback in franchise history.
I know.
Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Lowest prices ever on over 1,500 new and certified pre-owned vehicles. Loaded, luxurious Grand Cherokee Limited lease. $289 per month. That's right. Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited. $289 per month. 7-passenger Dodge Journey SUV. Just $19,990. Plus at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, you can drive payment-free for 3 months or interest-free for 6 years and worry-free up to 100,000 miles. And our parts service and body shop are open to serve you. Below invoice employee pricing at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. 1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort Myers. Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com. 42 month lease, 10,000 miles per year, $19.99 due at signing, plus tax, title, dealer, and acquisition fee, 0 security deposit, $13.88 per month for 1,000 borrowed for 72 months at 0 APR with 0 down with lender approval. Offers don't apply.
Colin Morikawa is going to miss his first cut on tour. He's 2 over through 4 today. 4 over for the tournament. He's going to have to get really loose. Oh, and he just parred a par 5. He's done.
As long as I can remember, and you may know Larry Rose. Now, Larry is an experienced SEC and NFL referee. Well, I know Larry has a fantastic dry cleaner and a great businessman. Look, you're going to love Stadium Dry Cleaners. They have discounts for our first responders and seniors. They have multiple locations near Publix at Daniels Crossing in Fort Myers, the Gateway Trade Center in Fort Myers, and the Elegant Image Dry Cleaners next to Walgreens on Del Prado in Cape Coral. They are Lee County's leading dry cleaner since 1988. With 30 years of experience in Lee County, I'm telling you, I trust my family's dry cleaning to Larry and the team at Stadium Dry Cleaners. So will you visit them? Visit StadiumDryCleaners.com and look for their monthly specials for great savings.
It's Fred Kobe with your Kobe Cooling Tip of the Day. I'd like to tell you that I'm the best AC mechanic in my company, but I'd be lying to you. I think my NATE certified mechanic team hides my tools from me so I don't hurt myself. You see, I'm the old guy, and I've been doing this work since I was a kid with my dad. Our younger staff are really the best mechanics in this business, and they've been through years of training and years of testing, with continuing education to keep up to date on the latest and greatest things in the air conditioning world. All companies brag about their experience, and we certainly have that, but we're most proud of our team being on the cutting edge and the leaders in technology and application of the modern air conditioning equipment. That's why we've been voted best air conditioning company in Southwest Florida year after year in the news press polls. It's not me, it's the best team of NATE certified mechanics ever assembled. Call 239-482-1542 and experience the best. License CACO 57313.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Miller and Moulton, and we've switched roles on this day. If you're watching via the Miller and Moulton YouTube and or Twitch.tv channels, where Mark is now the clean-shaven one. The fungus is gone.
All right. It's my wife's birthday, and if for the weekend to go along smoothly, it would benefit everybody, particularly me.
So the fungus is gone. The penicillin worked, and Mark is a little tan from fishing and clean shaven, and looks good. Meanwhile, I haven't shaved at all.
I was going to say we have switched it up there.
Right. My mom just sent me a text that said, "Hey, you look good in a red shirt, but you need to shave." Okay. All right. When your mom says, my mom has now assumed the role of my grandparents. Okay, because my grandfather first and then my grandmother, they were the ones that, as I got older, who would just let me know, time for a haircut.
I probably got to have to get one of those. I swore off haircuts with the coronavirus, but since I got rid of the fungus, I figured I might as well go the whole 9 yards.
Whoa! Is that going to be your birthday present for her? You're going to get your haircut?
Well, she'll have a few more, but that's going to be one of them.
Happy birthday, Eve. Happy birthday. 29 minutes before 9 o'clock. The good, the bad, and the ugly coming up in a little more than 15 minutes' time. Did you catch this while you were fishing at all?
I did.
Do you know where I'm going here?
I know exactly where you're going. You're going to the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I am.
One of the few things, literally on the way out, before we get out where the phone doesn't work. One morning, I threw music on. They were using my phone for the music on the boat, and I just hit the NBC Sports Talk app that's got, all the sports, and I just kind of leafed through really quickly just to see if anything was out there. Ben Roethlisberger admits that he was addicted to drinking and porn, right?
And hey, we talk for a living. I am never going to criticize anybody for giving an interview in which they reveal something. Talk about being hypocritical. But it is, I don't know, it was very casually done. I don't know if I ever remember an actor, an actress, an athlete, a politician. I don't know if I can recall a celebrity, a famous person, so casually saying in an interview, well, I'm not perfect. I've got a few demons. I mean, I've been addicted to alcohol and pornography. Whoa, oh, wait, what? Hold on. What did you just say? Hold on. I mean, don't get me wrong. We, had a few people that have, had trouble with booze. We get that. Okay. What did you just say?
Right. Well, there's a couple of things here. And I'll probably get in a lot of trouble for saying what I'm saying, and I don't give a damn. Ben Roethlisberger was doing this at a virtual convention for Christian men. Ben now has found faith. Okay. It has always seemed convenient for me, for those that have found faith, to then denounce their whole life beforehand. And that's essentially what he did. His statement is, people don't realize all the time that us athletes, we're human. We sin like everybody else, and I'm no different. We make mistakes. We get addicted to things. We sin. We're human. I think sometimes we get put on a pedestal where we can make mistakes. I've fallen short as anybody. I've been addicted to alcohol. I've been addicted to pornography, which makes me then not the best husband, not the best father, not the best Christian I can be. I would love to have an expert one day tell me what a addiction to pornography is, and then I would like to know how many men in their young 20s are therefore addicted to pornography. I think it is, I find this to be, I don't buy it. I think it's a convenient way for Ben Roethlisberger, who has been constantly trying to shift the narrative of his life to something more positive. This is a guy that, probably should have been arrested for what happened in Georgia.
It was very casual, though, in the way that he mentioned it. And let's face it, Ben Roethlisberger's been on the public scene. If you just talk about his pro career, I mean, he was a rookie in 2004. It was Ben, it was Eli, it was Rivers. That goes back to the famed quarterback class of 2004. Never mind if you knew about him a little bit before then, late in his college career. But he's been, out there for a while. And he's been a big deal in the National Football League for a while. And, once again, the media doesn't know everything about a person. There's no doubt about that. But it was a very casual reference to something which many people feel is, well, that's not your garden variety addiction, if you know what I mean. I mean, not that, not to downplay having trouble with booze, but having a pornography addiction is a lot closer to some pretty heinous things in our society. And it was done. He mentioned it very casually, answering a question. And it was kind of like, hold on, what did he say? And remember, he's the star quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's going to the Hall of Fame. I mean, does anybody have any doubts that Ben Roethlisberger's going to the Hall of Fame?
Nope.
He's played in 3 Super Bowls. He's won 2.
He's a Hall of Famer.
That final drive against the Cardinals, I mean, take a look at a couple of those throws. I mean, that's a drive. That final throw gets talked about a lot. You take a look at that drive. That's an epic drive. And they're all over him, by the way. The Steelers aren't blocking anybody for Arizona by the end of that game. They're all over him in the fourth quarter of that game. But wait a minute. He said what? That's what struck me. I'm like reading the story. I'm like, hold on a second. You know how you stop and you go back a couple lines? You're like, did I just read that correctly? He's got an alcohol and pornography addiction? Did he just casually acknowledge that? Wow. Huh. You don't hear that every day. And granted, he hasn't shown up at training camp yet, and there's going to be a lot less media at training camp than there normally is. But at some point in time, the Steelers, knock on wood, they're going to start playing again. He is the star quarterback. He's far and away now, especially, the biggest player on the team. There's no more Palomalu. There's no more Harrison. There's no AB. There's no Le'Veon. I mean, he's the star player on the team. And the networks and everybody are going to want to sit down and talk to him. And now they've got something to ask him about that they never knew they could ask him about. And to me, this is going to be interesting because my guess is he's not going to want to talk about it. And they're going to go, well, dude, you're the one that mentioned it.
Right. The only people that I've ever heard of that are addicted to porn, there may be tons. Love to know the percentages that say they're addicted to porn who were caught cheating on their significant other during the time that they said they were addicted to porn. Because he's been with his girlfriend, now wife, since I think they got married, 2011, if I've got that right. But they dated for several years before that. In the years before, when they were dating, he was accused of sexual assault twice. Twice.
Well, hey, and
is that because he was addicted to porn? I mean, I'd like to find out more here, David. I'm sorry. I think it's a convenient way to denounce what happened before he found his faith. And I'll stick by that.
And he's going to get asked about this. And he's not going to like it, by the way.
And
because when he spoke about it, he spoke about it in the forum that he wanted to speak about it in. It was a comfortable forum for him. He agreed to do this. All right. He knew, it was clear, it was on his mind. Okay. And so he wanted to get this out there. Well, okay. My guess is, though, he doesn't necessarily want to talk about it again. And the national media, and certainly the Pittsburgh media, they're going to be like, hey, hold on a second. We got this transcript from this thing that you did in late June. Can we talk about this a little bit? Nah, I really don't want to talk about that. Yeah, well, I don't know what to tell you, but you're the star quarterback of the team, and you just admitted to something that, I don't know, we've been covering this team for a while and trying to remember the last player on this team who admitted that he had this problem. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions about this. And we'll see where it goes from here. But I'll be curious as to how detailed he gets, because he's going to get pressed on it. And if he wants to, Mark, he could talk about this a lot more. Or he's just going to try to shut it down. My guess is he'll
Shut
try
it
to
down.
shut it down. But I will say this, and it's not just for those that maybe get deeper involved in their faith walk who are this way, but a lot of times people, as they get older and they mature, and also that they realize they've got some problems, and part of their recovery therapy, being a better person, is actually owning up to things and talking about them. And he did this forum, which was a faith-based forum in which he was talking about being a sinner and not being as good a husband and father as he should have been, etc. You could make the case, if he's very serious about this faith walk that he's now down, he could open up about it more.
I'll take the bet that he doesn't.
Right. I'm with you. My guess is he will shut it down. That this was a comfortable place for him, and he let his guard down a little bit more, and that when he gets back around the football media, he's just going to be Ben Roethlisberger, the quarterback, and not Ben Roethlisberger, the person, again. But it is interesting. He just may, Mark, especially with, every athlete's got one or two members of the media that they're more comfortable with than the others. It'll be interesting if one of those media members can get him to walk down this path again and see what it is that because it's a path that, he's not the only athlete that's ever had a porn addiction. Okay. But he's one of the few to say it.
Yes. He's one of the few to say it publicly. There's no doubt. And I got you, David. Look it. Maybe I'm 100% wrong. Too often in life, I've seen similar type things that you choose when you're going to denounce your past. And to me, it'll never happen. But if he's going to talk further, would he do it in front of either of those women? That's the real apology. That's the real faith.
Well, I don't know if a guy who's ever maintained his innocence is ever going to then acknowledge his guilt. But I know what you're saying. And once again, does a media member ever try to go back down that road? Because that was a while ago.
No, it was a long while ago. One in 2008, one in 2010. Absolutely, David.
2 years, by the way, in which they went to the Super Bowl. Haven't been back since. Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly, as we put a bow on this final Friday edition of Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much. Final Friday in June, I should say. Thanks so much for listening. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Welcome to the program.
This is the Dan Patrick Show.
Nick Fangio is the head coach of the Denver Broncos, and he had this to say.
I don't see racism at all in the NFL. I don't see discrimination in the NFL.
He does know where the NFL was trying to incentivize teams to bring in African-American coaches, and you would get a better draft pick. There is racism.
Dan Patrick. The Dan Patrick Show. Weekdays at 9 a.m. on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
We've got our good friend Tim Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters in Naples, on the phone. We're talking about their huge selection and great pricing on Core-Tec flooring. Tim, tell us what's new at the store.
Right now we have 90 colors of Core-Tec in stock, ready to go, pick up, put down as soon as you want it. Everything from starting at $299 on up with lifetime warranty.
And it's not just the many colors of Core-Tec that you have. You also have other Core-Tec products as well.
We also carry the Core-Tec stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Core-Tec, so you get the softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have Core-Tec wood. Look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest Florida's humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floor Meisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go online, floormeisters.com. That's floormeisters.com.
At Wink News, we've invested millions in the technology that shows you approaching storms. First,
fast, and local.
And during hurricane season, we know the weather is what you're watching for.
We've got tools no other station has to show you what you need to know to keep your family safe.
At Wink Weather, our mission comes down to one thing:
your peace of mind.
The best equipped, most experienced weather team. Trust Wink News, the weather authority.
Great news, Southwest Florida. Below invoice employee pricing at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. That's right. Below invoice pricing on Chrysler Pacificas, Jeep Wranglers, Jeep Gladiators, and heavy-duty Ram trucks. Over 1,500 new and certified pre-owned vehicles in stock. Loaded, luxurious Grand Cherokee Limited lease. 0 down, $269 per month. That's right. Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited. 0 down, $269 per month. Plus at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, you can drive payment-free for 4 months, interest-free for 6 years, and worry-free up to 100,000 miles. Our parts service and body shop are open to serve you. Below invoice employee pricing at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. 1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort Myers. Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com. 42 monthly sum Jeep, 10,000 miles per year, 0 due in signing plus tax, tag, title, doc, and dealer fee, 0 security deposit, $13.88 per month, per thousand borrowed for 72 months at 0 APR with 0 down with lender approval.
Listen to Miller and Moulton at home on your Amazon Alexa. Just say, Alexa.
Receiving. Over.
Play Fox Sports FM on TuneIn.
We are Fox. For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Dan Martineau here, owner of D.R. Martineau Roofing of Southwest Florida. I've been repairing and replacing roofs for 27 years. We operate with integrity, knowledge, and service. Google DRM Roofing or call 239-332-1441.
License number CCC 1326954.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Attention, Southwest Florida. Are you ready for this? Only Naples Nissan will give you $8,000 over Kelley Blue Book value for your trade-in. Hundreds of new SUV models to choose from, all backed by our exclusive unlimited mile lifetime warranty. Pick out your favorite at NaplesNissan.com. Then come see us on Pine Ridge Road to find out the KBB.com current market value for your trade-in. And we'll give you $8,000 more so you can drive that brand new Nissan home today. If KBB says it's worth $5,000, Naples Nissan will give you $13,000. If KBB says $10,000, we'll give you $18,000. You must act fast though. Visit NaplesNissan.com for full details. Offer on select models with approved credit and cannot be combined.
From the best headlines,
the best,
to the worst.
It's the worst thing that ever happened to anybody ever.
Prepare yourself and hide the women and children. This is Mark Miller's Good, Bad, and Ugly on Fox Sports Radio.
You're live.
For the good today, we go to Jeff Spicoli. Sean Penn has a nonprofit called CORE, and he learned that one of the testing stations in L.A. was being manned by firefighters. So he got his nonprofit to step up. They are doing free testing, not just in L.A., but in Bakersfield, Orlando, Napa, as well as Atlanta, Chicago, Detroit, New Orleans, New York City. They've completed 530,000 tests so far. They're doing it for free, and the firemen can get back to doing their job, which is not do COVID test. Thought that was a pretty cool story. For the bad, and this actually could be the good, and it almost was the ugly. It was in England, where Jessica Layton was sunbathing, naked.
Okay.
And then she heard a lady yelling and looked and saw two girls struggling in the water, and as she says, Mom going out to get them. And the rip current caught all of them. So she went out there, started swimming towards them, and thought, oh, blank, she said as she realized how strong the rip current was. But they were holding hands. She grabbed one of their hands and pulled them all back to the beach. She later added, fortunately, I just put my bikini bottoms on before it happened. One of her friends on Facebook said not all heroes wear cape. In fact, some of them don't even wear bikini tops.
It's a great quote.
It really is. Finally, the ugly. Gentleman purchased a brand new Lamborghini. The 2020 black Lamborghini Spider runs around $265K, David. Whew. Something went wrong with the car, so he pulled it off to the side of the road. That's when a van smashed into the back of the Lamborghini.
Snap.
Fortunately, the second vehicle driver had some head injuries but was not seriously hurt. The Lamborghini, on the other hand, 20 minutes after being purchased, was totaled.
Oh, my goodness. And I know if you can afford to buy a Lamborghini, you can probably afford to buy another Lamborghini, but still, 20 minutes.
What's the deductible on that insurance claim? And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, June the 26th, here in the year 2020.
And it really makes you wonder. I mean, we've all bought cars before, but I mean, do you get the paperwork switched over? I mean, does the insurance company, in those 20 minutes, I mean, have you switched everything over so that they're insuring the Lamborghini, or are they still insuring whatever it is that you had that you traded in for the Lamborghini?
No, most places you pretty much have to have that insurance before you drive off the lot. That's pretty much a requirement with the car. But I remember one story. Towboat US has been a sponsor of our show going back to the other place. And Cap and I go way back, and I remember watching the news one night. Someone had just bought a boat, put in the water at the Caloosahatchee, downtown Fort Myers. And I'm watching the 6 o'clock news that night, and the damn boat, guy doesn't know where he's going. I mean, we give people boats and don't really expect them. They don't necessarily have to know how to drive them. I mean, you can go rent a boat with no boating experience whatsoever. Here you go. Take the pontoon out for the day.
We make an assumption. Well,
it's a terrible one. I mean, we don't do it with motorcycles. Why in the hell do we do it with boats?
We just assume if you're here to buy a boat, well, obviously you know how to operate a
And
boat.
this guy runs it aground, and there I see Towboat US's things pulling it out. And I mean, I can't text Cap soon enough going, had to be a pretty good day today, because I know that wasn't cheap to get that sucker off of there. But at least his boat was okay. This guy's Lambo is gone.
Damn. Did you catch this story late yesterday? Seattle's getting an NHL team in a year. And the thought is at some point they're going to get an NBA team to go with it. But what was Key Arena is being completely redone. I mean, they're spending as much money to refurbish it, just under $1 billion. I mean, it's somewhere between 700 to 900 million that they are spending to completely refurbish the place that the Sonics used to play at, Key Arena. Well, you got to get naming rights. I mean, you got to put a sponsor on this sucker. So Amazon wins the bid, which when you think about it, I mean, who can outbid Amazon?
Nobody.
I was going to, very.
Nobody. Not right now.
I mean, the only person that maybe could hang in there in the bidding with Jeff Bezos is his former wife.
That's exactly where I was going. You got that right.
So everybody just assumed, oh, well, okay, Amazon Arena, right? No. Bezos has gotten on a green kick, and it's really come out of nowhere because a few months ago, his employees challenged him to say, hey, this is not a very eco-friendly company.
No.
You got to...
You know how much packaging just goes in one of my boxes of plastic crap?
Right. And so, his employees from within challenged him. And his first reaction was to threaten to fire and sue the employees because they've all got policies that say publicly you can't criticize us. And they obviously did. Well, he changed his tune and he decided, you know what, you guys are right. And Bezos recently made a big pledge, a few $1 billion, that he's going to, in the next 20 years, rework the company. They'll be much more eco-friendly, this, that, and the other thing. And to go along with that, with Amazon winning the bid for the Seattle Arena, instead of it being Amazon Arena, they're like, so what do you want to call it? And he said, Climate Pledge Arena. Because that's what I'm making, a climate pledge.
As Heckle says Heckle Hyde here says on Twitch, he says, Jeff is an a-hole arena, just doesn't have the same ring to it.
I mean, Amazon Arena would have worked, but
works a lot better than what is it?
Climate Pledge Arena, because that's
not
what he
Lemon
made.
Pledge,
not Lemon Pledge,
not Dustin Allergen Free Pledge.
And I always used to like Lemon Pledge.
I use it often,
but Climate Pledge Arena. See, this is the problem. You put it up for bid. The person that wins the bid can name it whatever you want. It's kind of like, Mark, what you just brought up with boating. The assumption is if someone's coming in to buy a boat, they know how to operate said boat. The assumption is if you own a business and you win the bidding for naming rights, that you're going to put your business as the name. But what if you have so much money, you're like, you know what? I'll just pull a name out of thin air. That's what I'm going to name it. I'm paying you about $40 million a year. I'll put whatever damn name on this arena I want.
Tell you, I miss the good old days when Joe Robbie built a stadium and says, you know what name I'm going to put on it? Joe Robbie. You know why? Because I built the damn thing.
It's my team. It's my stadium.
I don't know what to tell you. What other name am I going to put on that? It's Joe Robbie Stadium.
Right. I mean, I thought about making it Shula, but, you know, speaking of which, they're talking about getting rid of Doak Campbell.
Yes.
Don't you think they got to rename it after Bobby?
Yes.
I mean, if you're going to take Doak Campbell off of it, I don't know what else unless you're going to sell it and you still play on Bobby Bowden Field. But, I mean, you either sell it or you rename it after Bobby.
And they'll probably sell it. ACC Network and all.
Thank you, John Swafford.
Hey, went out with a bang, not a whimper, David.
Well, and what, they have 9 teams when he first started? Now they got 15.
I mean,
we
they
could
crushed,
argue whether or not it's better.
They crushed the Big East. They won that power struggle. They got their own network. They got Florida State. I mean, he did a lot.
He did. He did. I mean, nobody can see the network, and BC and Syracuse don't want to be there.
Looking for a frameless shower door?
I don't think Pitt wants to be there either. But
no. Giro, you do the very same. Have a good weekend.
Giro, have a great weekend.
Thanks, everybody. Have a